Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Stand in line for your fix. DeMarcus, Marcus, and Marcus in the mix, serving you yet another round of fish and grits. July 27, 2017. How's it going today, my man?
Man, it's a beautiful day. I got 3 days of PTO that I'm using, so I'm kicking back and relaxing. Go and check out that what's that? That Dunkirk tomorrow. I heard that was a really good movie, so I want to
Nice.
catch that.
Yeah, I've
Indeed,
been hearing a
indeed.
lot of good reviews about that. What's going on in your life, Wilson?
Man, I am good. Got a chance to spend some time with my godchildren. They had me out in this early morning sun, hunting Pokemon, actually. So
Oh Lord.
definitely enjoyed
Nice.
doing that. Indulging in all things geeky. That's what I do. But had fun with that, and now ready to dive in and get on some of this sports and in general pop culture, as I like to do my two favorite hashtags, the comic geek chic and the pop culture vulture. Those are those things that I love to do. So we got to get it in.
There it is right there, man. We've been seeing some interesting trailers come out recently. I know I got two sides of the spectrum here. I got a Marvel fan, I got a DC fan. Now I'm gonna let y'all guys collide it a little bit, but just give me a little breakdown of the trailers y'all been seeing and what y'all look forward to in the upcoming years as far as both franchises are concerned.
Well, me personally, I'm more excited. I'm not gonna say I'm more excited. I'm equally excited just for as a comic book fan, just getting at least maybe three, I mean 4 to 5 comic book movies a year. So that's always a good thing. Sprinkle some Star Wars and whatever else may come out.
Yes,
But
sir.
the thing that I love the most, I'm it's anticipating the most is DC finally trying to get things right and uh getting their footing because with Marvel, you kind of know what you expect with some of these Marvel movies. You know what the formula. You have your little comedy, you'll have some action, you have a good storyline, but it's not too complicated, but not too simple. You'll have you have your formula. But with DC, sometimes their movies just want to push the tempo a little bit more grittier or a little bit more adult generated. And I kind of like what DC goes for, and I hope they do more quality films as a Wonder Woman and less of a, I guess, Batman versus Superman or Suicide Squad. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
really excited to see what they're going to do going forward. And from what I've seen with Comic Con with Justice League, I'm really looking forward to what they're going to do. You know what you're going to get from Marvel.
And before
So
we get to Wilson rebuttal, what's the biggest thing that you wish the franchise would change?
honestly, the biggest thing they can do is, well, they said they already announces that Zack Snyder is not going to have creative control as much as he has over the
Mm-hmm.
universe because with Zack Snyder, it's like you have the good and you have the positive. You have the good with the visuals, the good with the action, good with maybe the tone, but there can be a little. He can be a little distorted when it comes to character. He can be a little distorted when it comes to pacing and editing, not always being the greatest. So I'm kind of enjoy that. I don't like it that Josh Whedon is kind of taking controls or he's kind of stirring the ship now. And you saw what he did with the whole Avengers thing. I'm kind of interested to see what he brings because Josh Whedon, I get he's a great storyteller, but I'm not too sure what he did with the Avengers movie. If he brings that to DC, I'm not going to too much be pleased with it. I don't know what Wilson thinks.
For me, and just to clarify, I am ambidextrous and even-handed when it comes to
I agree.
Marvel and DC. I love them both pretty much equally, but for different reasons. And
Hmm.
historically, as any comic book fan, and let me stress this first, as I know my man will happily co-sign to, I am a comic book fan first and
Exactly.
foremost. There are a lot of people out here that are comic book movie fans, and that's fine. That's your niche, that's your lane. But don't try to cross over into mine like you got some comic book knowledge because those two
Hmm.
areas are definitely different.
Completely different. Yeah.
Um, Going through some of the points that you touched on that I really like is the fact that Zack Snyder being in charge of the cinematic universe for DC was like the equivalent of having Michael Bay do all your stuff. It's
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
great for flash and pomp and circumstance, but a lot of the substance kind of gets lost in what they try to do. Zach is trying to give you so much dark and gritty and edgy that sometimes he doesn't follow the overall flow of what the universe is supposed to be bringing to the movie screen. He
Hmm.
gives you spectacular visuals. He gives you great epic moments, Because even with movies that I didn't care for, like Batman v Superman or Suicide Squad, stuff like that, you still had those great moments and stuff like that. It was
Hmm.
still a great action film. And to the companies, they're going to win with that because at the end of the day, they don't care where the money comes from, if it's from comic fans or non-comic fans, as long as people are showing up to see it.
True.
And people came out in droves to see those movies, whether they knew what was going on, whether they liked it or cared about it or not. They saw a good action movie. So from that
Hmm.
standpoint, they're still going to win on both sides because Marvel does the same thing too. Because there's a lot of diehard comic fans that kind of get rubbed the wrong way by what they do with this quote unquote cinematic universe. I was one that was like that from the word go because I hated every X-Men movie they ever made.
Mm-mm.
Uh, because I'm such a huge comic book fan, though, and there are so many great stories that they could have done or could have used instead of that convoluted mess that they came up with for the first three or four movies. That
Hmm.
as an old school blue blood, snotty nose, stuck up comic book guy, I'll always take issue with that. But I had to learn over the years that okay, they're not trying to do it from the comic book exactly. That's their cinematic universe, quote unquote, storyline. So you give them a little leeway with stuff like that. For me, I'm excited to see exactly how they bounce back at DC with this Justice League movie. That's going to be another huge step. They took strides in the right direction with the Wonder Woman film. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I thought it was a solid outing by them. I still to this day scratch my head and wonder why they just couldn't have given Superman his own movie, a la Wonder Woman. But I mean, I guess they feel that the Man of Steel is too handicapped to actually be able to hold it down on his
Oh,
own.
but no, they heard there's reports that Batman Batman v Superman was supposed to be like a la Iron Man 2, but they didn't want it to call it Superman 2 and it'll be featuring Batman and
Oh
you're
yeah,
trying to
most
spawn.
definitely.
But I heard they're supposed to be coming out with a Batman, I mean, an actual sequel to Man of Steel that I'm hoping
Yeah,
that.
they are now because of the fact that they had to sit and wipe that
Mhm,
egg off their face and eat crow
exactly.
after everybody gunned down Batman v Superman. They tried to use Batman to throw in there as a money grab, and then they wanted to
Mm-hmm.
catch up and let's give some more ties to this Justice League
Exactly.
movie and throw a little cameo by Wonder Woman and these little 30-second film clips from the other guys in the Justice League. Yeah, that's great, but
I didn't
unfortunately, their
like that.
timing was terrible because when that came out, Civil War came out, and you got
Hmm.
to see a million and one Marvel superheroes fight it out on the screen
Yeah.
for about an hour. And then you go back and look at these, and it's like, oh, so I get video snippets of these DC guys, but I got like a full on brawl with and you wonder why you lose ground in the big screen race with Marvel because you do stuff like that. And they need to stand by, and they need to make sure that they buckle down and have their vision together because Scarlett Johansson was on Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon, one of those shows, and she's already talked about how in Infinity War they have a fight scene where they have at least 32 characters fighting at one time, and there's
Hmm.
62
Wow.
characters in the movie overall.
Exactly.
62
That's some.
characters.
See,
That is
and then
a fanboy's dream.
You can
it
draft
is,
them.
it is. But let me. The thing about that, and I don't want to be too long with this. The only thing I don't, the thing about the whole cinematic universe, it's a beautiful thing as a comic book fan to see this on TV. Or like when you are a comic book fan, you kind of imagine a lot of these stories in your head. So
Exactly.
when cartoons came out, when you had the Justice League cartoon and stuff like that, you got to see those comic book, I want to say, storylines come to motion
Yeah.
picture. So when you see it on live TV or you see it on the big screen, something like that, it is entertaining. But then again, it also takes me back with the notion is too much can be too much for the eyes because what looks good when there's a one. You remember I'm so used to seeing singularity in a character where it's always
Hmm.
following one character on a several span of movies where you get to flesh that person out with
Yeah.
having all those characters together. Yes, you do get to see that in I guess in an
Now,
entertaining way,
see,
but I
that's the
feel like
comic
it's
book fan coming out in you. That's the comic book fan coming out in you right there
exactly.
because we think of it along the lines of every hero, for the most part, has their own individual comic book series. You don't
Hmm.
get the big splash page crossover, everybody fighting against everybody in every single comic book issue. That's something that they do every once in a while to kind of whet the appetite and stuff like that. Whereas in the cinematic universe, they try to give that to you all the time. And it's
All the
like,
time.
okay,
That's what they bank
yeah,
on.
I can't have 55 people in a movie, but they think about people that don't read comics and they're
That's
like,
true.
give them that sensory overload, give them the overkill because they're going to eat it up. They're going to come out in droves and they're going to see it. So they're trying to do it from a money standpoint. And that's why I said I had to soften my stance on the movie universe as opposed to the actual comic book universe because
Hmm.
it's such a different night and day difference because you're appealing to a different demographic and a different audience. But I
Exactly.
mean, at the end of the day, we came up as comic book fans and stuff like that. This is a dream come true for me. The fact that we're in 2017 and we're discussing actual comic book movies with regularity.
Yeah, it's like it's a
Something that I
popular thing.
didn't get a chance to see as I was a kid. It was just pretty much if you were going to see anything, it would be something, animated cartoons and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And I even get over the moon excited about the TV shows and stuff because it's ironic. Marvel does major damage. They kill it at the box office. To me, DC, when it comes to animated and TV shows, they
They kill it.
absolutely crush it.
Hmm.
And I'm like, how can't you figure it out and get it right on the big screen like you get it on the
I
TV
agree,
and with their animated stuff? Like their animated stuff and their TV shows are awesome.
bro.
People go out and watch Flash and Arrow and DC Legends of Tomorrow and stuff like that in droves. They started this whole craze back in the day because if it wasn't for Smallville, nobody would be taking these chances on any of these films or TV shows.
Exactly. And on top of that, what always blows my mind is when I saw Suicide Squad, I had the notion that it was going to be like Batman Attack on Arkham. If anybody has seen that animated film,
Yeah, that was
it is
awesome.
you can really do a recreation of that animated film into live action, and it would have been 50 times better than the shit I saw on TV. I mean, at the movie theater. And
Yep.
I'm telling you, I think people get in the way and they try to think, well, you know what? Person likes this. Well, we also have to address these people over here, and then this. Everybody is not going to be satisfied. So how about you do this? You step back and you see someone's vision, and you let that person go with their vision, and stop trying to interfere. And I feel like that's what a lot of these films are doing. You can feel like somebody is touching this that it shouldn't be because it's like, okay, you have your stereotypical thing being thrown in. It was like a lot of the Transformers movies where you'll have some good entertainment factors, and then it'll be this bullshit product placement, and then this bullshit ass I gotta throw this kid joke in here, and
Lots
then
of explosions and lots of splash
exactly. And
scenes
I
and
just
stuff.
Blow
tell
Hey,
stuff
that's
up.
Michael Bay all day, baby.
these studios think that the average day person is stupid, and I feel like if you gave us more, I guess, meat on the bones in these movies that are coming out, then you would get more people that are actually want to show out in the movies. That's why I guess the people are not going out to see movies because you kind of know what you're gonna get, so you're not being challenged anymore. But that's a whole nother
Exactly.
story for another day. But let's get back into these trailers. I know
Now,
you saw the trailer.
one thing
I'll
I
go
will
for it.
say, and I'll leave it alone before I get off this Justice League, as a lifelong comic book fan and one of my favorite characters of all time, uh, I will say that it is borderline criminal that you will have a Justice League movie and there is no Martian Manhunter or Green Lantern in it. I am personally
See,
offended by that. I'm a huge Green Lantern fan, have been since I was a little kid, always will be. I
can
just find that odd and wrong.
can we do this? Okay, so let's go. Let's do this. Let's go this route. We're gonna switch it up. Let's go ahead and start talking about the Justice League trailer first, and then we'll just go through the other ones that we want to discuss. So on that Justice League trailer, if you look at the end of the trailer when Alfred is talking to Allah, who we think is Superman, but I'm just
Hmm.
like, I don't think DC is that predictable to throw some Easter egg out of there after they done before that we know Superman's gonna come back. I don't think they want to show Superman. And if you look into Alfred's glasses, everybody go look at this. You see a green dot,
I
and
was about to say, I hope that it's Martian
in
Manhunter
my
personally.
in my mind, I'm thinking it's gonna be Green Lantern, and it's the only reason why I say this. I think it's gonna be Green Lantern is because they just announced the Green Lantern Corps movie that they're gonna release, and
Yeah.
that'd be a good tie-in to separate it. But honestly, I want to say not even a great Easter egg in Justice League or in the DC film universe in general is having Martian Hunter, excuse me, actually be have been in the movies and you never noticed it.
Because he's a
And
shapeshifter.
I personally think I wish he was the general in Man of Steel, Lennox Lewis or whatever his name is, the dude that played on the Matrix,
Yeah.
that black guy. If he was to play Martian Manhunter, I'd be perfect. I would perfectly say, you know what, Zack Snyder knew what he was doing because he knew of the leaping point of where he was going, and I would have given him credit too.
And they have tons of opportunity to be able to pull off something like that, and it would be awesome. But I mean, you're talking about, and that's another thing that I had a problem with the X-Men with is
Oh,
you started
yes.
off the series and you didn't have the founding members actually start off the series.
Mm.
In Justice League, for those people that don't really read comic books and stuff like that, Superman isn't a founding member. The same way that Captain America isn't a founding member of the Avengers.
Hmm.
They come along later. Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, they're founding members of the JLA. Martian Manhunter has been in just about every version of the Justice League that they've ever had. He's
Mm-hmm.
like the one mainstay in in the Justice League. So it just feels kind of weird as a fan to not see what is basically the heart and soul of the team actually be on the team in the movie.
And I, you know what? I totally agree. And I told somebody this the other day. The thing that I like and I dislike about these movies they're going forward, as we're talking about the Justice League trailer, is that with these films, it's just like comic books. When one person did a comic book and they did another, I guess another author took, that idea and added their own flavor. You know how Wolverine was recreated throughout the comics, and then with Spider-Man and things of this
Hmm.
nature, it's somebody else taking their vision. So I'm thinking when these people make these movies, it's just their vision in just a movie form. But my problem is, if you're going to start something and if you want to do it right, why don't you give people the proper rendition of what we have grown up to be in? So if you're going to do a Justice League movie, have all the correct Justice League players in there. I personally I thought DC was going to do it, flip it this way, and do and start their universe with a Justice League movie, and then from there split it off, which would have been awesome. I'm pretty sure enough people
That would have
know
been perfect.
that would have been perfect. But with this Justice League trailer, I really enjoyed the characters. I like their wow factor is in the movie, and I think a standout of this movie will be Jason Momoa, who plays Aquaman, because he just seems like he having a fun time, and maybe the Flash. I don't know who you think is going to be a standout, but the
For
action
me, I
looks
think that it's
great.
going to be interesting to see. And yes, every aspect of the trailer looks really good to me, but I hedge that because of the simple fact that I've seen so much bad from DC. I'm trying to
Exactly.
question if I'm just settling because I actually see something decent or if it's actually as good as I feel that it is. But it's going to be funny to see because I've never seen, I guess, even in a little bit of the previews and stuff like that, I've never seen any version of Aquaman that was quite that chatty or funny. So
Hmm.
that'll be interesting to see because usually he's a pompous jackass because he's the king of the
Exactly.
mammoth. The Flash, I'm pretty much expecting exactly what I'm getting. Young kids, stuff like that. It's good. I like the moments of levity that they have. It's actually kind of weird, but it fits with the way that Ben Affleck pulls it off for the few light moments that you see with Batman, the subtle jokes here and
Hmm.
there. Uh, so I think that it's cool from that standpoint. They're taking some chances. They're not being too rigid with it, but they're not getting too loose and out of hand with it either. Um, I think that it's going to be a solid move for them, but moving forward, they have to hit a home run with this one because if not, they may have cut themselves out of the market share and they may have to go back to doing some of their lesser known titles like a Sin City or a 300 or a Watchmen in order to be able to get their market share up because people aren't going to buy into it if they can't sell the biggest group with the biggest names in their brand in a movie. I mean, it's like if Marvel would have fumbled the ball with this Spider-Man movie, they'd have lost all credibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? And the thing that DC needs to do with this Justice League movie is it has to be commercially acceptable and do financially well. Because if it doesn't do like Wonder Woman type of numbers, or if
It's a
Justice League
failure. Yeah.
does not pass a Wonder Woman, it's a fail. And DC really is going to have to go back to the drawing board. And I'm thinking that they are trying to right the ship with the whole hiring Josh Whedon, trying to get the right directors in place. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I know we're going a little bit long on this, but the hiring of Rupert Wyatt,
Hmm.
is it Rupert Wyatt that directs the Planet Apes movies?
I know what you're talking about. I think
The
that's
new
his
ones?
name. Hmm.
Yes, I think that's his name. But him directing the Batman movie, what he's done for the Planet of the Apes movie, that has been undervalued, in my opinion, to the mass public, because there's no way in hell the Planet of the Apes movie should be making only like 500 million worldwide. That's $1 billion type of movie because you have character, action, drama, everything you have is in that movie. But if he takes that, or what he did to that franchise for the last two movies, and he applies that to a Batman movie with Ben Affleck, who, in my opinion, is the best looking Batman, just the way the physical features of him being big, tall, handsome, no homo, uh, how he brings that. I'm telling you, you have a movie that can be transcendent. And I feel like that's the one I'm looking for. If they fail with that movie, then fuck DC. If they hit it out the
Oh,
park, Marvel, they caught up with Marvel, in my opinion. If they hit that out the park, they can catch up with Marvel just with one movie like that.
And for
in
me,
public
the thing
opinion.
about it with DC is I think that they should go, and I concur with everything that you just said, but just to add on, I think that they should be more willing to do what they do on their TV shows and animated,
Mhm.
and that's take a chance on going out and promoting lesser known characters. Marvel
Exactly.
had to take that chance with their big screen stuff, and it actually paid
Iron Man.
off
Yep.
big for them. Uh, you go through and you get folks that may not have been as popular. People don't understand that Iron Man really wasn't that popular
He
when
was
they
not.
came
He
out
was
with the
a
movie.
EC. He was like a B or C
Yeah,
player.
he wasn't one of the major players in Marvel Comics at that time. They basically put him in a position to be a major player in Marvel Comics. You have so many wonderful characters and wonderful groups and stuff like that that you can have out of the DC universe that you can use. I mean, people looked and were amazed at the popularity of Arrow, and he's like a D-list hero in
Hmm.
the comics. He was like an afterthought, a sidekick to a certain extent, and that show is huge. Their DC Legends of Tomorrow, which is pretty much comprises of all B, C, and D list heroes and villains. It does gangbusters on TV. If you can do that and you can go through and bring awareness of a lot of the characters that they have to the big screen, I think that gives them more avenues. And they've had previous success because I don't know if people were aware or not. But again, movies like The Watchmen, 300, Sin
Good
City have
movies.
all done fabulously well. And they're all DC movies. A lot of people don't even know that.
Yeah, I know that. That's the reason why kind of WB kind of hired Zack Snyder because he was kind of
Oh,
the
yeah.
launch point for that. But going, let's we go to the next trailer. Let's talk about the Thor trailer. Now I know people have been in love and in awe with the Thor trailer. It looks beautiful. The action looks cool. You know, you have the Hulk in there. You got Thor. You got Helena or whatever her name is, Hela, the
Yeah.
goddess. They
The
kind of
Goddess of
combine.
Death.
Yeah, they kind of combine. Death that they're trying to use for. See, that's another thing for me. I kind of see what the movies are doing. I see what Marvel's doing. They kind of putting death that Thanos that is in love with, and they kind of combining that character with Hela, and
Mhm.
I see what they're doing. But besides the fact, I personally am not pumped for Thor by any means, honestly, because I feel it is too. Who this is the thing that I don't like about the Marvel movies. It's It's not the comedy. It feels like nothing is serious. It feels like those moments that are supposed to be serious. Because in Thor Ragnarok,
Moments and characters that are usually supposed to be taken seriously, cracking jokes is one of the biggest turnoffs for me. Thor isn't a jokester by any
yes,
means.
and that's the
He's
thing
not a
that I
joke cracker. He's not a dumb blonde. But they portray him that way, and that's like an immediate turnoff for me in these movies.
and I agree with. And the thing that I just want to communicate with a lot of people is that I have no hate for what they're doing with Thor. What they're doing for Thor is cool. He's making a popular character. It's getting more people interested in the comic book of Thor, which is a really rich history. And the thing that I don't like with these movies are you're supposed to have moments of I know you have moments of levity, but if you are supposed to Thor Ragnarok is supposed to be the end of all worlds. Well, it's the collapse of Asgard and all that stuff. But if that in my mind, I'm thinking death. I'm thinking of really gruesome, really dark, blah blah blah. But it's like they're cracking jokes every fucking 5 minutes, and I'm just like, how do I take this serious? Like the Thor is
Exactly.
up here like having a powwow with the Hulk, and I know you're trying to pin them up against each other like a whole Batman versus Superman type of thing, and it doesn't communicate well with me. With kids, I understand it; they probably love it. They're eating this shit up; they'll
Oh
be
yeah.
there. But to the adult like me, which I grew up with these characters, that's the only knock I have with Marvel is because I want these movies to feel serious, but I can't take them serious if they don't take themselves serious. And with that comedy aspect, I don't really care for that, honestly.
And that's one of the reasons why I've never liked the Guardians of the Galaxy movies either, because I'm one of the
Exactly.
few people that I know of that actually grew up reading the comic book, and it's night and day different from what I see on the screen. And don't get me wrong, I understand what they're doing, why they're doing. So, like you, I have no hate for what they're doing, but I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I'm okay with it as an old school comic book fan either, because it's great for what they're doing. I'm glad to actually see the visibility happening and stuff like that, but you could do so much more and still stay true to the source material, and
Hmm.
that's the part that makes it kind of frustrating. But at the end of the day, I know that Marvel now, being quote unquote a Disney subsidiary, is always going to market towards that young dollar. They're going to always market towards that younger audience. They don't really care about quote unquote diehard comic book fans. They care about getting the most for their dollar.
Marcus, let me ask you a question. Can I ask you a
Yeah,
question? I'm sorry to cut you off. Now, this is a question I really want to ask you. I feel like Disney, I know you really want to appeal to kids, but I feel like they take the mindset of kids a little bit too, they don't take it serious enough. When I was a kid, let me see, I was 8 years old. I saw Blade 2. Fucking love the movie.
thanks for making me feel old.
There's no reason why an 8-year-old kid, in which myself, I know you were older, should have been watching Blade 2. But the maturity of it is what drew me into it. It didn't make me lose my childhood love of Digimon and Power Rangers and shit, but it drew me something into something else. And I feel like these movies could be more mature, doesn't have to be as childish, and you can still get little kids to watch and still be entertained and still take something out from it. You don't need it to be super dark, but you can still be a little bit more serious. And I feel like they put too much of that comedy in it, and they feel like everybody needs to have that, and every movie needs to have that. And I don't think every movie does need to have comedy to that certain level, in my opinion.
And I definitely can agree with that. It's ironic that in a day and age where we literally can watch the world try to make children grow up so fast and have flagrant disregard for them being, young and all those things that come with it. But at the same time, you'll go through and on the other end, when it comes to the time that they can actually relax and kind of express themselves or kind of, show you, because you have kids that mature in different ways and at different paces. So you go through and Disney is going to be Disney. And I mean, unfortunately, they're so funny with that shit because Disney, when it comes to certain things, wants to be 1940s Disney, squeaky clean. Oh my God, we can't even cuss type shit. And then the next moment, if it'll get them some cash, well, they'll flash a little bit of skin. They'll do this, they'll do that. They'll have their little phallic symbols in the cartoons and all that other good shit. And it's just like, okay, which side of y'all's face are y'all talking out of? But the thing about it for me when it comes to them and Marvel movies and stuff like that is I'm glad that Disney didn't own Marvel back then because we would have never saw Blade movies.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those things that's unfortunate. You go through, there would have never been anything going on with like a Punisher or anything like that. Like if Disney had their way, you'll never ever, even if we petition and we just, bang down at the doors of the gates of Disney and stuff like that, we'd be like, man, put the Defenders on the big screen, put Luke Cage and those guys on the big screen, this, that, and the other. The stuff that they'll allow to be seen and perceived on a Netflix type level, they'll never put on the big screen because it won't get them the young people dollar that way. They don't want to be looked at as being too mature for their target core audience that they were created upon. They'll never waver from that, and it's unfortunate, but hopefully they can diversify themselves and keep doing it on different levels of multimedia so we can get a little bit of everything. I've already kind of preconditioned myself, unfortunately, to the fact that Marvel is only going to go so far in movies on the big screen. They'll have a little bit more, free reign to do stuff on Netflix because, like, you go through and you look at the stuff that they do from Avengers and this Infinity War and the Thors and stuff like that on the big screen, and then you cross-reference it and you look at it compared to the shit that you see when you watch Daredevil or Luke Cage or Jessica Jones on Netflix. It's like, wow, is this the same company? Because those series are mature as hell.
Exactly, real mature.
Yeah,
shit.
It's like, okay, but you're giving me, and that's why I tell people they look at me funny. Yeah, they look at me and they think that it's funny, but I tell them at this point, I would much rather Marvel did everything on Netflix because I'm going to get stories that are more what I actually want to see.
Exactly.
Stuff that pertains to me and it's adult. And then I get the double win on the fact that I'm okay with sitting through and grinning and bearing it on a dumbed down kind of, sugar coated 2.5, 3 hour movie. But you give me 14, 15 hours of that grit on that Netflix show. So I'm always watch that. And that's the one thing that I tell people. One of the reasons that I love Daredevil so much and I love Luke Cage so much and stuff like that is if they'd have put it on a big screen, I wouldn't have gotten a chance to fall in love with the characters the way that I did. Because I got 14 hours to do it. Yeah, I got 14 hours to do it on Netflix as opposed to the 2.5 that they'll try to crunch in on the big screen. But I mean, it's just one of those things, the direction that they want to go, and people have to understand that at the end of the day, it's still business for them. The guys that run Disney are not comic book fans. They never have been, they never will be. So they're not going to approach it or look at it with the same passion that we do. And to a certain extent, I can live with that because at the end of the day, Giving me something is better than giving me nothing. But at least if you're gonna give me that little something, just kind of remember us guys that grew up and kept the industry going, not these new folks that's putting money into your wallets right now.
Mm-hmm. And Demarcus, I know we're about to. I want to talk a little bit about Black Panther, but I also want to sprinkle in this little thing right here. As the times advance, and as we gain more access and more, I guess we become more homebodies, kind of more instant access. The idea that you've had with you saying about the Netflix more of the span of 13 episodes, you get more time with that character. I love that idea. That I wish we get to a time where Marvel or DC and a lot of these like Star Wars and stuff like that don't look at movies anymore as, I gotta make a movie. How about we do this? We do a Game of Thrones type budget, and we give our characters this type of love that we give the movie, and we just put it into TV form, but you have to pay for that. I would literally pay $30 to see a 13 episode of the Avengers with a budget of Game of Thrones. That is entertaining to me, and I feel like you draw more people in that way if you did it that way, because you've seen people starting to favorite going to watch TV more than go to the movie. So that would be a great thing. And let me talk about this Black Panther. Man, this is an awesome time for Black people, man. Ryan Coogler is probably the best Black director you could have found to direct this movie. Because after I watched Creed, I kid you not, I looked at my girlfriend and I said, damn, this dude has to direct Black Panther. And lo and behold, that happened. And also a dream choice of mine was always Chadwick Boseman. When I saw 42 and I saw, it was some other movie he played
take
in.
your pick. He's been James Brown. He's been
James Brown. That's what it was. James Brown, 42 because his seriousness, and then James Brown because I saw that he could really immerse into a character, and he has kind of the look of Black Panther. He's not too old. He's not too young. He's muscular. He's kind of the female draw, but he's also the type of dude that I don't, a lot of us dudes would be like, what, I stand behind this guy, and he's a perfect character. And then just getting Angela Bassett, and then you getting who else is in this movie? Michael B. Jordan. Now it was a treat. It was a treat. They got every famous Black person, not Denzel or Wesley Snipes or shit.
They got all the young up and comers now. All of the folks that are really starting to kind of hit their stride now. Yeah, you got it, and it's a good blend. It's a great mix. From a casting standpoint, it's almost the same kind of timeliness that you saw with like The Best Man. With all of those folks coming in before they actually hit their stride, were like super duper stars. You know what I'm saying? You go through the casting is awesome, the setting is awesome, the fact that they're going through and reaching out and putting this out there is an awesome thing. But it also ties in and it stays true, and that's what people don't understand, to the source material too. Whether behind the scenes or in front of your face, the Black Panther has been one of the more influential comic book heroes in Marvel Comics since the 60s. He goes through, they don't really pump him up until recently about all those things, but people that grew up and the history about him and stuff like that, he's basically like a hybrid of Iron Man and Batman on steroids.
Exactly.
It's awesome to see. I'm really, really thrilled to see how they flesh it out. I like the fact that they just didn't tie him in and make him Avengers centric. They actually used some of his own villains in this movie. They didn't just tie in an Avengers affiliated villain and stuff like that. And I'll be interested to see where it goes and how they, give him his own lane, but by the same time still tie it in as we lead into the Infinity War. But I literally have nothing bad to say about it because of the simple fact that equal parts excitement and equal parts of being unfortunate to have to say it, but this is like new territory. So I really don't have that much in the way of expectations because other than Blade, really haven't had that chance to see a major Black superhero on a big screen. So you just kind of you're excited, you're in anticipation of it, but there's no standard for me. There's no line that I can draw and be like, okay, it has to meet at least this because, in all honesty, it's already a win from the effort that you put forth with casting, from the effort that you put forth with the writing.
Hmm.
It's kind of hard to imagine any scenario where this movie would not be equal parts entertaining and successful.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that a lot of I'm hoping that I know it probably is going to do well because a la it is a Marvel film, but I kind of wish this movie is the leaping point of seeing black people in another light and seeing that if you can grab us and really it doesn't a character I know a character can be written or can be written, but it doesn't necessarily have to be written for a white person. What's what takes away from the Matrix? Because if people, I would love to always tell people this in the Matrix, it wasn't supposed to be Keanu Reeves. It was supposed to be Will Smith. So I'm just telling you that these roles don't have no doesn't see any color. So you don't just have to look at a movie and say, you know what, I need a Tom Cruise, or I look at this movie, I need a Brad Pitt, or blah blah blah, and this that and another. You can look at a role and say, you know what, I can go get this other black guy, or I can get this other black actor I saw. And I'm hoping that a lot of this movie does open the door for a lot of more black actors who in my opinion, I feel like this is our time, and a lot of us are coming off with the TVs from Snowfall, Insecure, Queen Sugar. Just there's a movement going on, and people are not looking at it. And I'm loving that black people are getting into film because it was a dead space for a while. You had Denzel and you had Samuel Jackson. Now you having a diverse set of young black talent really coming up, and Hollywood is really taking notice of them. And I'm really have to give a shout out to Michael B. Jordan because he was holding it down from the beginning. Friday Night Lights, and I've been rocking with that dude ever since. And that dude is awesome.
Oh yeah, and you also have to remember the natural progression of things historically as it pertains to black actors and black cinema in general. You have to understand that there are certain levels of groundbreaking material. Whether you have the Hattie McDaniels and stuff like that, and Gone with the Wind that just did it as far as being an actual black face you saw on the screen, to progressing towards a Carmen Jones, which is my favorite movie of all time because it's the first time I ever saw a musical that I grew up with, like Singing in the Rain and stuff like that, except everybody in there was black. You had Dorothy Dandridge and Harry Belafonte in there as the leads. I mean, it was extraordinary. Every single person in that movie was black. And this was a movie that came out in the 50s and 60s. That was groundbreaking. You go through and you move forward to different shows and different movies and stuff like that, whether it was on TV being affected with stuff like The Jeffersons, moving forward to The Cosby Show, when you have movies that move forward through, which I feel now is kind of kicked to the backside, but was hugely important for the time in which it came out. Spike Lee was very much revolutionary when it came to black film and how black actors were both viewed and portrayed in movies. You go through and you progress to different movies like The Inkwell, the first time I ever saw anything about any affluent black neighborhood on a movie screen ever. You go through and you look at stuff like Love Jones, the first black movie about love and romance that featured people that weren't in the hood or slinging dope or gang banging ever for me. That movie is revolutionary to this day because it was showing black folks in a different light. It actually created a boom in what we know now as the spoken word movement because that's the first time that most people were ever actually exposed to it was in that movie. You go through and you look at a lot of the movies that they have now. You would have never been able to see a girl's road trip 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
But because of the steps that we've taken and stuff like that, and the fact that we can be perceived as something more than just that slick street pimp or that hustler or that gang member, that we have credibility, that we have visibility, that we have profitability. I give a tremendous amount of credit to a guy that's had the versatility in such a short amount of time on the big screen, like a Chadwick Boseman. He's played some pretty significant African American characters on the big screen early in his career. And I see nothing but more success for him now because he's not only continuing to do that, but he's doing it in so many different areas. You literally have sports, you have comic books now, you have the music scene with what he did with James Brown. Like he's canvassing the entire spectrum of the African American diaspora as it pertains to arts and entertainment. Like he's on everything. And I think that it's awesome that he still maintains his humility. He still kind of plays it close to the vest. He's not one of those guys that appears to read his own press clippings and ride his own sack. He's still giving you 100% for what he does. And I think that that's going to bode well for not only him, but any projects that he's associated with moving on down the line. But the thing for us as it pertains to the black shows and stuff like that we see now, I applaud the fact that there's so much more of a spectrum as far as options that you have on the
Exactly.
different types of things that you can see, because
I
we go
agree.
back and I can tell people that, back when you guys were youngins, you go through and you look at those early 90s and stuff like that. I remember the blackest night in the world is Thursday night because I had Cosby Show, A Different World, Martin, Living Single, New York Undercover, all in the
Damn, you had
same
it
night.
going on.
All in the same night. It all came on in the same night. And all of those shows in their own right were revolutionary. I didn't know anything about really embracing the black middle class to upper class income home and the things that they went through until I saw the Huxtables. I didn't really know about all the ins and outs or really get excited about the prospect of going to college until I saw School Days and
Different
until I saw A Different World.
world. Hmm.
You go through and you look at those things, looking at the interactions between black women that wasn't anything catty or too chatty and stuff like that by looking at shows like Living Single.
Hmm.
Uh, Seeing how it worked as far as having minorities in positions of power and positions of authority, like that police show New York Undercover, which was fucking awesome. And these
It was a real
powers that
good
be
show.
need to get together and re-release that shit on DVD so I can buy it or put it on Hulu or Netflix so I can start watching it all over again. Because I'm going through withdrawals. That was one of the best shows ever.
That was a damn
Uh,
good show.
that was one of the best shows ever. But there's so much out there, and it's a thing that we soak it up and we appreciate it for what it is now. But the masses have to do that. They have to understand what their position is as it pertains to all of the stuff that's going on now, all of the freedoms and all of the opportunities and choices that we have. That all of those stereotypes that we like to complain about and stuff like that, we're literally consciously moving to destroy and recreate. There's so many different aspects of black life, black culture, the black experience that people are starting to actually embrace and express now. When you go through, it's not just slave movies anymore. You can go through and see the experience of the butler and see it from a whole different perspective. You can go through and look at Hidden Figures and you can see it from a whole different perspective. It's still embracing that same struggle. It's still embracing those same issues and stuff like that. But damn, it doesn't have to be the knockdown, drag out, dirt in the face, oh massa, let's sing these spirituals. It doesn't have to be all that all the time. There's a place for it, and it's definitely a truth that needs to be embraced, but it's not something that we have to be beat over the head with all the time because then you're going to make people hesitant to actually look and encounter their own history. Tell it from different perspectives, from different angles. You go through, and there's so much that can be embraced and explored through the African American experience since we started coming over here on boats. There's plenty of things that you can go through and you can look at that embrace and show that struggle, show that strength, show that perseverance that we have as a people and as individuals. And now we're actually getting a chance to have that being put on big screens because people understand the marketability and the profitability of it. So now they're willing to take more chances and do more stuff with it. And I think that that's awesome.
And let's go ahead and give a shout out to our main man, since we're talking about black power and all this blackness and these TV shows and movies. Let's give a shout out to Lawrence Fishburne for locking it down, for joining the Marvel
Mm,
team. You
mm,
gotta,
mm,
you gotta
mm.
give you gotta give Lawrence Fishburne some credit. I'm gonna throw it to you like this. He's played in, he'll play in Ant-Man, but he also played in Man of Steel, so he's been in DC.
Perry White,
He played Silver Surfer
my
in
favorite Marvel
Fantastic Four.
character. Yes,
He
sir.
also played in The Matrix,
Morpheus.
Predators. He also threw it back all the way back. He played in Mission Impossible, and he also played in every black people's favorite movie, Boys in the Hood. Lawrence Fishburne has quietly been in
Furious Styles.
all
And
the
don't get
fucking
it twisted.
best
Don't get
movies.
it twisted. Let's not shortchange this man. That man started
Oh, you
off
want
for
to go
me
back?
on Saturday mornings with Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse.
Pee
Uh
Wee playing. Oh Lord, you taking it all the way back.
Hey, he was my man, 100 grand, and do the right thing. Helped me embrace my inner militant
I love do the
side.
right thing.
Uh, I mean, he was in so many good things. Deep Cover, another transcendent movie that's
Mhm.
underrated, a cult classic. That movie was awesome. You go through. I mean, he pulled off Ike Turner
What about Pops?
flawlessly,
He pops
flawlessly.
on Blackish.
Oh man, that is a hilarious role, and it's like watching him
Too
evolve
funny.
as a man. Now that he's older, it's like okay, this fits like right in your wheelhouse.
It's
It's
right.
all good.
It's a
It's
perfect
all
fucking
good.
glove.
Oh yeah,
And he also
and that
played
man has
Hannibal.
demonstrated so much range. He's played in Hannibal. He's played in Macbeth. He's done Shakespeare. I mean, he's done it all for the most part. He's been in everything.
Yeah,
And he's another guy that, like, to me, I guess if we can call that the Larry Fishburne route, I mean, that's what Chadwick Boseman is pretty much on right now, because you go through iconic characters, especially in black film and stuff like that. Lawrence Fishburne has been in a lot of them. Uh,
yeah.
and
He's
then you go through and you look at the stuff that
forget
he's
about
done as far as being able to cross over and play two of the more underrated but iconic nevertheless characters by going from being Perry White, the editor-in-chief at the Daily Bugle for DC Comics, to going and playing Bill Foster, also known as Black Goliath, also known
Mhm.
as Giant Man,
Yes, sir.
the actual person for all you people that just watch movies and don't read comic books. He's the guy that got killed in Civil War that turned the tide and made people start questioning everything that Iron Man and them were doing with the registration. It took him being murdered for that to kind of swing itself around on the whole Civil War thing. But I applaud him for having that latitude and not selling into signing that contract to just do exclusive this or exclusive that, which is what catches up a lot of these guys in these movies now. Some of them sign a contract to do 4 DC movies and they can't do anything else, or they have to sign up to do 4 Marvel movies and not do anything else. My man Lawrence says, you know what? Y'all got me as Perry White for these couple of films.
And I'm out of here.
If something else comes down hotter down the line, it's not show friends, baby. It's show business. It's all
Yeah,
good.
so that's kind of Comic Con. That's the Comic Con and the wrap. The most important things that we wanted to touch on. We could have taken a whole show to really
Yeah,
break all
there's a
that
ton
down,
of
but
stuff going on.
we just wanted to sprinkle a bit of knowledge out there. So, uh,
But
we
that's what
get
you
into
got to do. See, one thing you guys don't realize, I had to sit back and give y'all the floor because, man, just as I listen to you guys talk, we couldn't do this 20 years ago. We couldn't do this 30 years ago. This is special. This is two African American men talking about something that they're passionate about. And a lot of the youth today don't have a passion for anything no more.
That's
You,
true.
you,
And then
you see them walk
Everything is
around.
prepackaged and their attention span is too short.
Everything is microwave. Nobody want to sit there and let
Yeah.
everything bake in the oven sometimes. Sometimes I got to sit back and I got to let you guys bake. I don't need the microwave everything.
Ain't
You know what I'm
nobody
saying?
ever wanted microwave brisket over that slow roast for 16, 18 hours. I'm just saying.
No.
exactly. And another thing that also is amazing that you just dropped and you touched on. Don't be embarrassed to have a passion that nobody else has. If you like swimming, go swim. If you like fucking playing golf, go play golf. Because that's what it's like. It's a popularity contest going on, and it's like everybody wants to do this one thing. Everybody wants to do this one thing. It's like do something else. When I was growing up, it wasn't a popular thing to read comic books or watch,
No, sir.
cartoon shows about comic books and stuff like that. People would laugh at you, but I still did what I wanted to do because I didn't give a fuck, and you still was gonna respect me at the end of the day because I knew my shit on other fucking topics, but I liked what I liked, and it's not cool to watch
Exactly.
anime and stuff like that. But it's like be your own character, be your own person. Don't let
Be
people
yourself.
sway you
Just be
to
yourself,
believe
man.
whatever.
Don't be
Exactly.
afraid to be different. And I feel like it's a lot of people in our society that's afraid to be different. But if you're always following everybody, you'll never be able to figure out what type of leader you are. So
And you know what? That's a perfect blend, because I know in previous podcasts, one of the things that we've talked about, and we're going to talk about a little bit more today, uh, for me, as it pertains to hip hop, one of the foundations of hip hop was the fact that, unlike today's perception where everybody wants to wear the same Jordans and have the same look and stuff like that, you were actually prided on your individuality and what you did to make yourself stand out from the rest. That was
Mm-hmm.
one of the things to be commended. For all of my folks out here that's listening that really want that inside from a nerd standpoint, understand this: when I was younger and I was going through high school and stuff like that, and people weren't really checking for me. He likes to carry around them sports encyclopedias, and he's always reading these comic books and this, that, and the other. Well, nowadays, all of the people that were like me are all of the people that are making
Are the
these
popular.
movies and coming up on all this stuff. So never underestimate where that swag comes from. Even if
Mm-hmm.
it takes you a few years for it to actually be realized, there's a market for nerdy guys. And contrary to what any hoodlum or thug might want to tell you, oh, if you don't think chicks go crazy over nerdy dudes, you are out of your mind. If you can keep a woman laughing, or
Yes,
if you can
sir.
keep her thinking, you will never ever be alone. And no nothing is more attractive than a woman for her to sit down and literally be able to talk to you about anything, and you have answers for
To it.
everything that she asks you.
Exactly. Don't be
You
one
have
dimensional.
no idea.
Nah, that's the message that everybody got to hear, man. But what we gonna do? We gonna leave that right there as is. We gonna make that a separate podcast on its own.
Yeah.
And in our next step, we just gonna transition right into the meat of tonight, the meat and potatoes, the fantasy of tonight, the AFC North. We gonna I mean, it was a couple players went on the PUP list. I mean, they weren't in a division going to be discussing, but Andrew Luck and Jordan Reed, just give me a quick analysis on how you guys feel about those two guys not being able to start off camp. And these are two players that's really going in the third or fourth round, depending on the draft.
Are you surprised?
Well, I'm a little surprised with Luck because I feel like Luck had
I'm
enough
not.
time
Luck
to
has been the
recover.
walking wounded pretty much his entire career.
Yeah,
and
man,
they've really done
can't
nothing
say
to
that, man.
address that as far as protecting him with the line
but he
and stuff.
still gets out there, and now it's at that point to where, all right, I'm about to start missing games. Kind of like that J.J. Watt effect. Like you felt J.J. Watt was indestructible, then he go out and miss a game, and then he's out for the season. And it's kind of feeling that way with Luck because now he's at that point where, man, I can't go out there.
Well, they're similar in the regard that they're both have that thing in common with going all or nothing. They don't know how to dial it down. They don't know how to play less than 100%, 100 miles an hour.
Caught 2 touchdowns with a separated shoulder. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so you go through and you have that, a la J.J. Watt. I mean, when you knew that J.J. Watt was going to be hurt, he was going to be out for a while because J.J.'s not going to come back and play at half speed. Yeah. He's not going to play at a quarter speed. Like, they've been begging Andrew Luck to learn how to slide for fucking years. That's not the way he plays. That's not the way he's wired.
Right.
So, man, it's going to be certain things that come with it.
It's crazy that we would talk about so many years about how RG3 is not durable. That, Andrew Luck is so durable. Look how he can take those tackles. And you see it starting to catch up with you. And it's starting to, I guess, that whole running mentality, a lot of quarterbacks are starting to go out the window some. A lot of those quarterbacks are not taking that chance anymore because fucking getting hit by these linemen
who are bigger, stronger, and
exactly.
Bigger, stronger, faster. And when you have to understand now that Joe Montana, all-time great, Terry Bradshaw, all-time great, folks that are nitty and gritty like Jim McMahon, all-time greats. Well, you didn't present as much of a financial risk by being hurt as these guys do now. Back in the day, a quarterback could get his head knocked off, but it didn't really matter because, I mean, okay, well, he's only making $4 or $5 million. Now you have folks that are making like 26. $4 or $5 million a game, and it's like, nah, bruh, you need to sit your ass down somewhere. I'm gonna need you to slide.
I don't need you missing no games. I don't need you missing no games. So yeah, that is a problem. And where Jordan Reed is, I hope he's healthy this year because him with this information that has gotten out with the whole CTE thing. He suffers from a lot of concussions, and if he has another one this year, he might want to contemplate retiring because that's not healthy, and it's not healthy at the rate that he has those. Yeah. So I kind of wish that he kind of take a back seat and don't play as, I want to say, not so much as hard, but don't play as much. Really,
you have that in the NFL, you're gonna get your head knocked off.
That's the scary part. That's the hardest thing to do when it comes to these guys, and you literally have to tell them not to do what got them there in the first place.
Yeah,
that's like telling them to go against their instinct. If a guy only knows one way to play, and then all of a sudden you tell them, "Oh no, be hesitant, this, that," and you're literally changing the way the guy is playing. Once you change his mindset, it's hard to get him back on track. It's like taking a guy that that's known for being a hard hitter and stuff like that, and tell him, "Oh no, you got to ease back because you got these concussions and this, that, and the other." But if that's the only way the guy knows how to go, I mean, you can't have him literally relearn the position on the fly, and that's where you get in the kind of dilemma.
If you guys had to get one of these two, which one would it be? Had to.
I'm gonna take Reed.
You gonna go with Jordan?
Yeah.
What about you, Griff?
And the only reason I say Reed is because of the fact that in the grand scheme of things, from a fantasy standpoint, having a tight end that may not show up won't hurt me as much as not having a quarterback show up.
All right. I do feel like this should give Terrell Pryor a little upgrade. I know it's not good to wish injury on nobody, but I know for sure if Jordan Reed not there, Terrell Pryor is going to be next in line as far as the red zone targets. And like I always say,
definitely.
Touchdown is king. So depending on how if he can even get out there and practice, if he can suit up for a preseason game, I'd probably give Terrell Pryor a round bump. Like I'd probably even look at him more toward that third round, where you probably would be looking at a Jordan Reed. But I just gotta for sure get somebody that can play minimum about 13 games and give me about 10 touchdowns. And if Jordan Reed is a lock to miss about 4 games, which I feel like that's every year he's gonna miss a couple games, Terrell Pryor should definitely benefit from that.
I can agree with that.
But man, jumping into the NFC North, the Steelers took it last year at 11-5. What kind of record you got for them this year, man?
Oh, I
don't like that evil laugh, dude.
I'll let Marcus go first.
I'm glad that my wife isn't here first and foremost because she's a diehard Steelers fan. Oddly enough, because it's funny because the year that we actually first started dating was the year that the Packers and Steelers played in the Super Bowl in 2010. That was a fun year. But right now, especially in light of recent events, I have the Steelers at 9-7.
Okay. What's your losses?
I have them losing startling. I have them losing at Cleveland. I have them losing to Minnesota, at Baltimore, Cincinnati, Green Bay, New England, and Houston.
Okay. What you got, Griff?
I got them going 8-8. I have them losing to the Giants, the Falcons, the Panthers. I got them also losing to the Bengals, to the Titans, to the Packers, to the Patriots, and also to the Texans.
Okay. Well, this is actually going to be my high team. I got these guys as the second seed in my predictions. I got them going 11-5. The losses I have is going to be Baltimore, Detroit, Indianapolis, Green Bay, and New England. The only reason I'm so high on the Steelers, like I've been telling you guys, I really do feel like this is Big Ben last year, especially looking at the type of shape he came into. Ben looked like a fucking freak right now. I don't know if y'all been seeing some of the recent pictures.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
He definitely.
Oh, no, I didn't see him. What happened?
Man, he's
yoked up on me. He's yoked up.
Oh, you talking about them diesel shots of Big Ben?
Yeah. He's yoked up.
So between that Le'Veon Bell contract here, he may hold out this training camp. I don't think
Le'Veon hasn't reported the camp, and that's a huge issue, and that's part of the reason why I have them at 9-7. That is a huge issue.
I don't think it's a huge issue, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because we've seen him be suspended and be able to just jump in and be productive. It's the same kind of situation with Dwayne Brown. If these guys get hurt in training camp or in preseason, those contracts are not guaranteed.
That's true.
And I feel you on that. But the reason why I think that it's different now, it's one thing to be suspended and stuff like that. That's great. But when you go through and you do this whole holdout game and stuff like that, and especially when it comes to an institution like the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're not talking about, we just have to accommodate next man up and stuff like that, because now you've affected the chemistry of that team. Mike Tomlin wasn't a fact. Mike Tomlin was not happy about him not showing up, and it showed, even though he tried to not let it show in the press conference when we asked him about it.
Nobody wants their players to sit at home. They want
no. But even more so than that, it becomes a chemistry issue as far as, okay, what are you doing this for? Why are you doing it?
Well,
kinds of things.
He has damn good right to be selfish, because we know for sure running backs never, 9 times out of 10, never see their second contract. And if
you're right, but
on that second contract,
he can be selfish to a certain extent, but then to a certain level of the law, you should actually be kind of happy and be willing to be more open, because these are the folks who still keep giving you chance after chance when you keep messing up too. They could have just kicked you to the curb a long time ago.
But they can't afford to do that though. They don't have a D'Angelo Williams no more. Fitzgerald Toussaint gonna come in and do something. James.
He looked nice.
Well, they're going through and they're showing that faith in him now, because they didn't expect him to hold out. They could have easily drafted a running back in the draft if they knew that this was what they were going to get, and put heat on his back if they were really about that life like that.
I mean, they took James Conner in the 3rd round, and we've had a few people that came on and said that he may be a potential sleeper, but he's not Le'Veon Bell. He's not a locked-in top 3 pick in any draft format. You don't have that.
And that's fine, but there's surprises to be had everywhere too. I mean, there's nothing that can say that man can't come in and be a superstar too, and then he'll really have problems. But I mean, it's just one of those things. To me, just the fact that we have to discuss this and is an issue as it pertains to their season. They already weren't head and shoulders above this division. They have people chomping at their heels as is. So every little error brings them closer back to the pack. And I think, unfortunately for them this year, it's going to cost them the division.
I know we haven't got to the Ravens yet, but I think this Joe Flacco issue is going to be more of an issue than Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell is still healthy.
Well, the Ravens
the
Ravens to me aren't a factor in that division, so that really doesn't matter.
I agree with that too. And then also, let's talk about this. What about the Steelers defense? I mean, as great as the offense is for the Steelers, their defense
honestly, what defense in that division is elite anymore?
That's true, but they'll win their division games. But what about
there's some elite offenses in there, though.
But you can also say that about almost every team on this list. I mean, it's not the only elite defense that really probably scared me is at Kansas City and at Houston. And they even got New England at home. They got Green Bay at home. Like, this schedule is very favorable, man. Really
I'm just looking at a lot of these. Okay, are we really gonna sleep on the Giants defense? Like, it's not good.
I was wondering why he just kind of casually overlooked.
He kind of casually went over that. Like, are we really gonna?
When do they play the Giants?
But they don't.
They don't. They play them in the preseason.
They play Minnesota. Yeah, they play Minnesota, which is the other defense that I would actually bring up would be Minnesota, especially in week 2.
I trust them
that defense will be fresh.
I feel like Pittsburgh play a lot better at home, man. So
and I like the
Bengals defense. They do. I'm not
not
completely sold on the Bengals defense, but it's definitely an improvement from what they've had the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I'm not sold on the Ravens, but if the Ravens do take a flyer on Cap, I feel like Cap in that system would be nice. It would be kind of interesting.
Cap in that system wouldn't overcome the deficiencies that they have with wide receiver and tight end.
Cap in that system would be okay because his brother would tell him exactly how to use Cap, and he's going to listen to his brother. So that on paper, that is the best fit. But.
Exactly, and that's the only reason why that's the only light I was shining on that. I don't, by any means of the stretch of the imagination, think that the Ravens are going to be relevant. I'm just saying that it's with Joe Flacco going down. And if they were to take a flyer on Cap, I just think that's the type of team that can.
No, that is the team that can because I mean his brother knows how to use him. His brother made a Super Bowl with him. So you tell me that they're not going to talk about having Colin Kaepernick on the team? Come on, of course. On paper, that is the perfect fit. It's either Ravens or Seattle.
And it's funny that if he does play for the Ravens, it is pretty funny that Joe Flacco and him played against each other in the Super Bowl. 4 or 5 years ago, and now he's gonna be on the same team. That's pretty funny.
Pretty much.
The biggest issue that I'm seeing with the Steelers right now is this Martavis Bryant.
Oh yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Cause I thought he was all cleared, and now he can't even practice with the team. So if he can't get involved into practice, I think that'll be a bigger issue than Le'Veon. But right now, as far as the fantasy draft is concerned, they got Big Ben going in the 7th round.
Is Sammy Coates healthy?
Sammy Coates still got a hand issue.
He still got the hand. Yeah, I was about to say he still got that hand issue.
And that kind of concerned because that hand issue happened with December. So we're talking 8 months later, and you still
he already was struggling with drop balls. So just with the hand issue, and also with you not being 1-on-1 with catching the ball. So that is a flare. I mean, kind of a red flag. And then they cut Ladarius Green.
Well, they had to. I mean,
I'm talking about just losing. That's another weapon that you lost. That that was.
They also drafted Juju Smith-Schuster out of USC, so he got a nice.
So I don't really see the problem with Martavis Bryant not being available. I'm not really sold on Martavis Bryant to begin with. To be honest,
really, I am. I think Martavis.
I'm not sold on him. I'm more sold on. I'm more sold on Sammy Coates if he's healthy, or taking the flyer on Juju. It's just me. I just get a. I just kind of get a little vibe off of Martavis. It's like
the numbers say that when he's in the offense, when he's just there, it's an extra touchdown on the board, most likely coming from him.
Hey, I'm not mad at that. Most likely it'll be going to Jesse James now, so I'm cool with that. That's fine.
Not the road, though.
Yeah, the outlaw, Jesse James.
Hey, I guarantee you, whatever they lose from Martavis, they'll get in red zone touches from Jesse. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it.
And then I can see what Marcus is talking about from the standpoint with Martavis. He's kind of more of a vertical threat, a la like a Mike
Wallace, man.
You gotta have that, though. Every elite offense has that one go.
And you're right, but they have Kobe Hamilton and Darius Hayward-Bay too that can do more than just run a stretch. They have deep threats on the team.
And they all played last year, and what did they do?
Oh, Darius Hayward-Bay. No, Darius Hayward-Bay actually did have a stretch of having good games.
Like 3 or 4 games.
Hold on, but you have to take in consideration that what's his name ended up coming on. Look, what's his name started coming on. Sammy Coates ended up coming on, and then it was kind of the Le'Veon Bell show.
I mean, Sammy Coates late in the season averaged 20 yards a catch. I mean, for the limited action that he did, he got 20 yards a catch.
And if he didn't catch,
yeah,
if he
because
didn't
the
drop
other
his
ones he
mini
was
balls,
dropping. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
That's why his yards are so high, because he probably beat him about 40 yards and just dropped the ball. I mean, that hand is too much of an issue. I need somebody with solid hands. Martavis got the hands, man.
With this whole
Martavis ain't got the brain though.
yeah,
That's the bigger question. Does he have the brain? Is he dialed in? Is he locked in? Is he focused?
They fuck up. A lot of people fuck up, but Big Ben
You know
called
what?
his ass out for it. And that's why I'm saying, if Big Ben call you out, that's why I say Big Ben on his last leg. He's telling about like, hey, look, I ain't got much time. And when I say not much time, I got about 5 more months left.
But
so either y'all gonna be all in, or I'm just
in saying that, with the type of offense that the Steelers run and stuff like that, if Big Ben is truly on his way out and he ain't got no time to be fucking around, then I'll just simply throw to everybody else but you, since you can't seem to get it right.
exactly
That's the other problem that exists right there. He don't have to throw it to Brian. Brian doesn't. He's not the go-to.
He's the second most talented receiver on
no. But then again,
Jesse
there's
James.
also
You're right.
Then again, there is also reports out that
boy, if you don't stop,
Did you hear the no? But hold on. Did you hear the reports about Martavis Bryant also not seeing eye to eye with Big Ben? That's another thing.
Yeah,
Big Ben called him out, but
that was after he called him out, though.
Bruh, he's too young in his career to be pulling these diva moves like that. He is not Randy Moss. He is not T.O. You ain't got that kind of pull. Antonio Brown is on your team, and you don't hear him say a word. Even when he fucks up and gets called out, he just apologizes, jumps back in line, and stays focused. Martavis Bryant trying to ruffle his feathers and all that. Yeah, but Martavis going through and ruffling feathers and stuff like that, man, that's not going to get you nowhere. Not in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh ain't that type of team. They're not that type of organization. They'll kick his ass to the curb before they let him sit here and cause drama. That's the biggest problem.
They know how.
That's the biggest problem.
They would have been cut. Pittsburgh under Bill Cowher, they would have cut his ass.
Yeah, they would have been cut him.
I guarantee you, if they have one more incident with Martavis Bryant right now, Tomlin is gonna cut his ass.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, he's on thin ice. He's on thin
ice. I can't take thin ice players though.
And that's why I say Martavis. This is just a redraft. I'm not taking him for dynasty. I'm banking on this year, but I'm all in on the Steelers offense this year.
I'm all in on Jesse James. Let's get it.
I'm all in with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell.
Jesse James got nothing for you, dude.
I'm all in on Jesse James.
They got Big Ben going at the end of the 7th round right now. How y'all like his value?
That's about right.
That's I mean 7, 8, and around there. He'll produce. He'll give you. Man, it's just like don't play him when he's on the road. Play him when he's at home.
And that's the biggest thing.
That's
what I'm trying to break down to y'all. The road games are not that bad this year.
I know. That's why I think
they're not that bad. Because look at 3 dome games he's going. I know one against Houston, but it's still a dome game, so they may be able to catch somebody slipping on the track. Indianapolis, Detroit.
Dome.
Come on, like I say, the only road game I'm scared of is probably Kansas City, and I'll still probably play him on that Monday night game against the Bengals just because it's prime time and I don't trust the Bengals. I don't know how y'all feel about them, but I'm real high on the Steelers. Le'Veon Bell, if he can just report a little bit, I wouldn't mind taking him 1-on-1. I still probably take him over David Johnson. I know both of you guys are David Johnson guys, but I'm a Le'Veon guy. I mean, I always been that way.
I love Le'Veon Bell, but I know which side my bread is buttered on too. I'm gonna go with David Johnson. I'm good.
Exactly, man. I love David Johnson this year, and with the reports of him wanting to get 30 touches this.
Yeah, buddy, 30 touches a game, every game. Shit, I'm all in.
He's gonna break down eventually, like, and that's what scares me. I get he's young, he's going to his 3rd season, but he did get nicked up at the end of the season. A lot of people bypassed it. Let's act like this injury did actually happen.
But he got nicked up. But the thing about David Johnson is his recovery, and then if you listen to him and when he has his interviews, he'll go and tell you that he's so tuned into playing football now that he's taking better care of his body, and I trust a guy with the mindset that
that's a pounding. He's not gonna be worth anything in a couple of years.
Shoot, Marshawn Lynch was taking.
But see, that's the thing, though. In the way that they run their offense, though, David Johnson doesn't really take that much of a pounding, and that's the part that's good. The way that they run their offense, he spends almost half his time in the slot, a la Marshall Faulk, as he does back there in the backfield running the ball.
You're talking about from a receiving standpoint. Of course they're going to get
I'm just talking about from a general out on the field standpoint. He doesn't take that many big hits. When you watch him play, he doesn't take that many big hits.
He wasn't just juking everybody. Yeah, I get the double juke was nice, but let's not make it seem like he was just jetting off on everybody. I mean,
no. Never making it seem like that, but as opposed to actually, quote unquote, taking a pounding a la a between the tackles bruiser, dude has plenty of tread left on the tires. He'll be just fine.
Yeah, because he's in the third year. But to me, the running back that takes the less amount of hits is Le'Veon Bell because the patience. Le'Veon is trying to protect himself for the future.
All right, we got a bet on our hand already. Here we go. We go right here.
Oh, I'll take any Le'Veon Bell.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and put that bet.
Le'Veon Homer over here.
The Marcus brothers over here are riding. We're riding with David Johnson.
Who led the league in yards per game last year?
Who led the league in fantasy points? Who led the league in fantasy points?
If he was there, if he was smoking
that, blah 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 blah. I don't want to hear your excuses. Just answer the question. Who led the league in fantasy points?
It's about this year.
Who led the league in touchdowns? Who led the league in yards per scrimmage? That's all I care about. That's all I care about. Neither one of these dudes play for the Packers, so that's the only reason I'm interested in either one of them. Who led the league in fantasy points and who was too busy getting suspended to lead it? That's all I care about.
David Johnson only been in the league 3 years. Give him a couple times to get busted with drugs down there in Arizona.
Man, please.
Man, what drugs is he doing in Arizona with his white wife?
Them folks in Arizona love him enough to cover up his shit even if he does get into something. Trust me, he's going to be just fine.
If he was
that nigga was snorting coke and they hiding that nigga under the bench. They trying to get that nigga.
That's their new face to carry over once Larry Fitzgerald leaves. They not gonna hurt the franchise. They good.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, if they don't break his ass down, they gonna break his ass down.
Boy,
they're not gonna break him. Now see why you cheerleading for this man's failure.
See, and you know what?
It's too many touches. Okay, DeMarcus. They forced him the ball because Carson Palmer was trash last year, man.
Bruh, even with what they did last year, he didn't have that many touches last year. That's the thing.
And you know what? And another thing you talk about DeMarcus, you talking about too much touches. He's not getting touches like DeMarco Murray when he's getting like 30, 40. I mean, 30.
Last year, it was David Johnson or nothing. That's how terrible Carson Palmer was.
This is the thing about it. So David Johnson usually gets about 14 to 18 carries, and then he goes into the slot, and that's where he gets a lot of. He was getting like 10 targets a game from the wide receiver position, and he was getting you like 8 catches, maybe 9 catches. He wasn't dropping a lot of balls. On top of that, he was. You have Levity with what's his name, Ellington in the backfield. They're not going to run him into the ground, but they're going to utilize him.
They didn't use them last year.
Man, okay, fam. Here it is. He had 373 total touches last season.
That is not a lot.
He had 373 total touches last season, and it got you 2 grand plus on yards from scrimmage and 20 touchdowns.
And an injury at the end of the season.
And that's fine. So you add to the fact that he missed a complete game's worth of touches, and he still had 20 touchdowns, 2,000 yards plus on only 373 touches.
And go look at that freak injury. That was the worst. Like, that wasn't even an injury. That was like the most depressing injury because it didn't look like it was that serious, and they just happened to take him out. And I was just like, damn, okay, well, there goes the rest of my fucking season. But I still think that David Johnson will be more of a factor than Le'Veon Bell will be in that offense because once again, in the red zone, Jesse James. Then you have Antonio's going to get his money, and they're going to have to find another number 2 wide receiver. I don't think they're going to rely on Le'Veon Bell as much as with the whole contract dispute, the whole vibe of what's going on with training camp and the behind closed doors. And I feel like David Johnson, they want to kind of prop him up with the Cardinals, and I think that he's going to be the go-to guy.
No, so he will be the go-to guy.
He's the franchise. At this point, he's the franchise.
Go-to guy. I honestly feel from a game plan standpoint, you got to get better play out of Carson Palmer. When I look at the quarterback,
I think you will.
You have to. I mean, it's no think you will. At this point, Carson Palmer only has a few years left. I think Big Ben and Carson Palmer may both be riding out
Palmer's
this year.
Last year is probably this year.
That's what I'm saying. I think they both on their tail end. And when you say going into the season, what quarterback would I rather have? I'd rather have Pittsburgh Steelers in that offense compared to Carson Palmer in that offense. Yes, David Johnson's going to get his touches. Yes, he may have another 20 carries. But in a dynasty, I would definitely be concerned about taking him. And for this year alone, I'm not saying for next year, but for this year, I'm all in on Le'Veon because he has something else to prove. David Johnson's getting paid peanuts.
He is in that contract. Yeah, he is in that contract year. We do like those players in the contract year.
So that's like I said, that's just my reason. Then you add in the schedule to where the road games don't look that much. Man, I'm all in on Le'Veon.
DeMarcus, I bet you ain't talking about fighting me. I bet you ain't talking about fighting.
We got to fight now. We got to fight. We got to fight.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Let's take it to the streets.
Come on, man. We ain't gotta do all that. But I'll get off the Steelers. I mean, of course, Antonio Brown's a good draft. That's probably the safest receivers you can get. And me, I'm taking Martavis in the 4th round. So
in the 4th round.
Just incidentally, so I can stir the pot a little bit further, because I know we've discussed this before, but you have seen the Cardinals schedule this year, right?
Oh, yeah. It's favorable.
We're talking about how favorable the Steelers schedule is. I mean, you have seen this schedule, right?
Yeah, I've seen it, but I like the Pittsburgh offense a lot more than I like the Cardinals.
I like the run defenses that David Johnson is playing against this year more than the Steelers schedule.
Someone asked me earlier, who do I think the dark horse quarterback could be that could finish number 1? And I said Big Ben, because he has the least to prove as far as the resume goes, but I'm sure he wants to ride this damn season out because he knows it's his last. How many quarterbacks come back in that type of shape, thinking that they're going to you don't see quarterbacks add on muscle before a season. They try to get lean.
Well, I mean, some don't have to. Some are already pretty good as they are.
I like everything about the Steelers this year. Like I say, I honestly think they could get to the Super Bowl, but those Patriots going to
Nah.
Hey, it will get
neither one of those teams are making it to the Super Bowl.
Miss Wilson,
neither one of those teams are making it to the Super Bowl.
believes they're gonna get to the Super Bowl, and I believe they could get to the Super Bowl.
That's
2 against 2.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Somebody's trying to win brownie points over here.
I don't know what y'all smoking over there, man.
Hey, don't say y'all. That's him talking that.
You said that. Okay, I was about to say.
I said that neither Pittsburgh nor New England were going to get to the Super Bowl this year. I don't have faith in either one of them.
Dang, you don't think New England gonna get it either?
Nope.
Who you got? Damn, shit, man. That took the win out of my sails. Shit,
we'll say that for the following week. Let's move on to the Ravens.
Yeah.
Last year they finished 8-8. This year I got the same thing. What you got?
Yeah, I got them going. I got them going 7-9.
I got them going 8-8.
So yeah, they schedule every game seems like a 50-50 game. Like no game. The only game I feel confident with the Ravens, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Chicago. I actually got them beating Houston. Houston is one of the few teams that they have never lost to at home. So I think they're going to be beating Houston that week.
Well, I think that's going to happen.
Detroit. I got them beating Cleveland again and Cincinnati again. So that's why I say all those games is like, you pick them, but the game could.
For me, I got them losing. I got them losing at Cincinnati. I got them losing at Jacksonville and London.
Same.
I got them losing at Oakland. I got them losing at Minnesota, at Tennessee, at Green Bay. Coming back home to get that ass kicked by the Texans, and then at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and then my only thing is I think they're gonna lose both games to the Steelers. That was the only thing. My difference is.
And before
I think that whole division pretty much splits.
I believe in that Texans like prime game curse. So I don't know.
That's true.
That prime time curse is real.
You know what? I just don't like the Ravens. I don't know what it's about.
Well, I mean, if they were playing against a different team on prime time, I would be inclined to agree. But everything about this team says middle of the pack. Everything about this team says mediocre. That's why I have them at 8-8 because they're pretty much a middle of the pack mediocre team.
And as much as I love Ozzie Newsome, he usually have great drafts. I wasn't that impressed with his draft this year. I feel like they reached for Browser in the second. Wasn't a big fan of Marlin.
Hey, time out. Wait, whoa, what? Huh? What happened?
What, Bowser or Marlin?
You said they reached for Bowser.
Yeah, like I don't think
you bite your tongue, young man.
I think he was the second round. I think a lot of those guys had good pro days. A lot of the people at Houston had good pro days, and that's why they got drafted. But I think that has more to do with the culture that Tom Herman created versus the talent that they actually.
Bowser just had a good season, period. He's a prototypical linebacker for what they like to run in that defense. That's why I was hoping that he would either go to them or go to us because he was going to get utilized the exact same way he did in college. You mark my words, Tyus Bowser is going to be every bit as good as Zachary Orr was before he got hurt and left the Ravens. You watch.
I'm not sold.
Book it. Book it.
I'm not.
I ain't sold on Le'Veon Bell.
See, that's why we need to get some Bell. That's why we need. That's why we need. We need to get somebody to write down these bets, man, because they're getting out of hand.
I mean, I'll give Bowser. I'll give him at least 3 seasons, but I don't think he's going to come out and make an immediate impact. No, he's not going to.
Oh my God, he'll make an immediate impact almost by default. Who's going to start in front of him?
Nobody.
Yeah, but
I mean, he's going to make an immediate impact almost by default.
There's no Haloti Naha in the middle. There's no Ray Lewis next to him.
But you know what?
In the back. These are not your 2000s Ravens.
But he doesn't need that to put up tackles and put up numbers. He doesn't need that.
Okay, if you're talking about from an IDP standpoint, yeah, go ahead and get him. But
again,
what about all those that DeQuell Jackson had good seasons tackling? Was he a Pro Bowler? Was he an All Pro? No. DeQuell Jackson go out there and get you 120 tackles.
Did he help me win fantasy football leagues? Yes. That's all we're talking about, right? I don't care about what they do as far as personal success. I'm talking about fantasy football, baby. This is what it's all about. I don't like the Ravens. I don't care about the Ravens or the Steelers or the Bengals or the Browns. This is strictly for fantasy football.
If I was in the IDP, you can have them. I'll tell you that right now. You can.
Oh, hey, good job. Especially if I'm in a dynasty IDP, I'll take them and crush your team for years and years.
Nah. Can we keep it real? Can we keep it real? I'm just not excited about this whole division, honestly. Because there's
nothing really to be that excited about when it comes to this division.
The only thing is, it's like I'm excited to look at maybe Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and then maybe what the Bengals may do. But I'm
looking at the progress of the Ohio teams because that's the most potential that's in this entire division. Those two teams are up. The other two teams are flatlining or going down. Cincinnati has a lot of young talent that they're putting out there. Cleveland basically has an entirely new team that's just chock full of potential. So it'll be interesting to see how they cut their teeth this season. But other than that, there's no Super Bowl contender in this division. As currently constructed, there's no Super Bowl contender in there. I said it on purpose. I said it on purpose for the Bell fan.
You are really high on them Steelers, man. They're just that lack of defense is this thing that just.
You don't need defense, man. You don't have it.
Well, you don't need it until you get to the playoffs.
But we saw what the Steelers tried to do. We saw
the Chiefs had that great ass defense, and they still lost. They couldn't even score a touchdown. They lost all.
That's because they got Alex Smith.
That was their fault. But I mean, with the Steelers is like, how many points are you gonna put up? Like, you can't always outscore people. That ain't always gonna work. Cowboys tried that. The Cowboys tried that. They lost.
Cowboys tried that young. This is a veteran. The
Steelers right now, for a good history lesson, the Steelers right now look exactly like the early '80s Chargers did with Dan Fouts. Ton of offense, mediocre defense. That'll get you to second round of the playoffs, and it'll get you beat every time.
I agree. I think
that's exactly the way that they look right now. They got a wealth of talent on offense. They can smoke you for 45 points on any given Sunday, but their defense can't keep up. That's their problem.
And Ben's bound. And Ben's
your wife. Hold on.
And Ben's gonna lose like two. He's gonna stop at least 2 or 3 games.
You better stop that,
man. But as far as the Ravens are concerned, the Flacco injury does concern me a lot because I was kind of high on Jeremy Maclin. I wouldn't mind taking him just because.
But I mean, at the end of the day, how high were we going to take Flacco in the first place from a fantasy standpoint?
I'm not taking Flacco, but I'm talking about the weapons around him. But Flacco right now is going 14th round. In a 15-round draft, he's going 14. So he's like
that's completely understandable. He's like a QB2, maybe borderline QB3 at this point.
QB3.
Because Flacco, what pissed me off about him, he'll throw for like 300, but only have 1 touchdown.
No touchdowns.
I don't know how the hell
he doesn't have the touchdowns, man.
So,
and I don't
understand. He's Troy Aikman.
Man, I don't know, man. I can't give him that.
How many 20 touchdown seasons has Troy had? Exactly.
I'm not talking about from that standpoint, but it's like this dude is fucking huge, and the only reason he's even a starting quarterback is because he had that great ass defense and went on a miracle run, and that's why he got that money. But Joe Flacco,
you know that there's not too much difference in that concept between him and like Brady or Roethlisberger. Right, because they both started out with tremendous defenses, and that's kind of how they got known too. They just kept it up going on their end of the deal longer.
But Joe Flacco's been terrible since they left.
He didn't
Joe Flacco, but you know what? In all honesty, Joe Flacco's offensive philosophy and his coordinators and play calling have been terrible too.
Oh yeah,
because they run some of the most basic, boring shit ever.
Gary Kubiak probably had him put up career.
How long was he there?
It was only 1 year. Hey, you can't.
And that's the problem.
Coaching job.
But you know what? But I'm not saying it from that standpoint. I'm saying if you give the man somebody that's going to be creative with him and maximize his talents, it's not like he can't live up to the billing. But they keep him in a boring ass 1986 New York Giants Phil Simms type offense, and so your numbers are always going to be limited and somewhat hamstrung. They run that kind of system like a Dallas Cowboys or a Giants back in the 80s, where it's not predicated on the quarterback and necessarily having to be prolific passing the ball in order for you to win. They want to win games 10-7.
That's
crazy. They want to win on that defense.
That actually leads the league in pass attempts.
Exactly.
You know what's funny? But
it's dink and dunk, and that's the part that's frustrating. It's dink and dunk pass attempts all the time.
You know what, Joe Flacco? I feel like Joe Flacco really if he was with the Texans offense, I feel like he could really
Man, if you send Joe
flourish here.
Flacco to the Texans, that son of a bitch will put up numbers like Matt
He
Schaub
would,
did.
he would, because you have a point, because he does have that dink and dunk kind of Alex Smith type of play. But I feel like he
Bro,
has
his
more
running back
skill.
Ray Rice was one of the best fantasy options for like a 2
Oh
year
hell
stretch.
yes, because they dinked and dunked their ass off the Ray Rice.
And I'm telling you, man, him with the Texans offense, and you just have Lamar Miller back there. Hopkins would get that
85 catches. Hopkins will have 110 catches. Yeah, they be filthy.
Fedorowicz will be the what's his name that just retired, the tight end, Pitta. He'll be the Dennis Pitta blanket for shit. Man, matter of fact, and I like to renege on what I was talking about Joe Flacco.
Oh, Lord.
I think I like to go back and say, you know what? I have been selling him short, because now that you say that, when Mark Trestman and them came around there, they really kind of fucking shitted on his offense, because they kind of limit Joe Flacco and what he does best. That play action really works best for him, but they don't utilize it. They were losing wide receivers left and right. Mike Wallace would go fucking MIA for fucking 3 games.
Although it was the same system, you changing coordinators from Kubiak to Trestman and trying to keep the same system. So now he's hearing 2 different voices like, hey,
exactly. And you go through, and it's so frustrating that you got a guy that you can say, well, you know what? I threw for 4,300 yards last year, but I only had 20 TDs.
I blame management because there's no possible way that Mark Trestman showed me enough in Chicago where I said, damn, I should bring this nigga on and be the fucking coordinator for fucking Flacco. That was the stupidest signing I've ever seen.
That was desperate. They was like, wow, we lost Gary. What do we do now?
Man, what do we fucking do? And I'm like, man, I'll get fucking
got fired? We gonna get
Trestman did nothing. And if you want to be truthful about it, Flacco is just a better what's the name? Cutler. If you think about it.
No, sir.
You don't think he's a better color? They both
you will not wish that juju on Joe Flacco.
Oh,
no, sir.
Okay, I'm not gonna
no, sir.
They have the same mechanics, in my opinion. He's not.
You look and you see big guy with a big arm, and that's about it. But no, the mindset, the way that they go about it is completely different.
And Joe Flacco be looking out there like
he too cool. He remind me more of Drew Bledsoe to me.
Joe Flacco has never quit on his team like a Jay Cutler has. I will give him that. I'm sorry, I can't make that comparison.
In the NFC, oh my god, I ain't even gonna talk about.
Well, not that one. That one he was hurt. That one I'll give him a pass on. But there's many other instances where he has simply just checked out on his team. And I mean, if I was him, I wouldn't want to go in against that Packers defense that year either. Man, I'm not mad at him for that.
DJ Raji had his moment in the sun, and look what that nigga did after that.
Hey,
they could have put up a fight against him. I ain't saying they could have beat the Packers, but they could have put up a fight. That game was like, what, 13-6? Come on, dude.
The only time that the Packers had a top 5 defense, they went to the Super Bowl and won it.
Because Charles Woodson played out his damn mind.
You can call it whatever you want. B.J. Raji played out his mind. Clay Matthews played out his mind. They corners played out of their mind. The whole defense played out of their minds. The last time you had a top 10 defense in Green Bay, they won a Super Bowl. That's what's so frustrating about Packers fans now. If we can get a good defense, we're in there. Shout out to AJ all day, leading tackler in Packers history.
I love AJ Hawk. Very underrated. Man, is it any Ravens y'all would see on y'all roster at all? Just looking at them.
No.
To start?
Anything.
No.
Just for
I can take a flyer on Terrence West if I'm short on running backs.
But he's jumping up too. With Kenneth Dixon being out, he's jumping up to
that's what I'm saying. I'll take a flyer on West.
And Danny Wood
would take a flyer on I am not high on Terrence West because last year he showed absolutely nothing. He also showed absolutely nothing with the Browns.
I mean, 770 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's not bad for part-time work.
Yeah,
that's not bad at all.
But Danny Wood.
But I'm talking about from an eye test.
I feel you.
Actually watching. Yeah, if you actually watch him play, it's like he got a lot of his stuff in garbage time because Joe Flacco was kind of the dump off king to him, and he kind of was just.
But I mean, that's probably going to be the same situation this year. So that's not necessarily a bad thing.
That is true. Man, I don't know. It's hard to talk fantasy and not think about real life and just talk about how they piss you off.
And I feel you, but that's the thing about it for me. You go through and you look at his combined stats, rushing and receiving. He gave you 1,000 yards from scrimmage. He gave you 6 touchdowns. That's not bad for part-time work. That's what I said. If I need a running back 2 or a running back 3, I'll take a flyer on him.
That should go up because I don't expect Woodhead to play all 16 games. So it's going to be Terrence West going to get a bulk of the
game. Yeah, West is going to get his fair share.
Yeah, he's going to get his 20-touch game. And I think he's a good value. I still don't like that round. If he dropped to like 8th or 9th, I feel more comfortable. But 7th,
Yeah, I wouldn't take him 7th. I'd take him closer to maybe 9th, even 10th, maybe.
I prefer to take like a Derrick Henry or Samaje Perine in the
exactly. I'll take a
over
Samaje Perine over him any day of the week, and I am not sold on Mike Wallace whatsoever.
Oh hell no! I'm Mike Wallace is just
especially because he actually had the audacity to have a decent season last year. He ain't gonna do it 2 years in a row.
It was like every other game. You can never predict it. That's what really pissed me off about Mike. Mike, I have.
It's like, you know what? I'm not gonna start his ass, and then that day that I don't start him, he have 160 and 3 touches. I'd be like, son of a bitch. And then I start him the next week, and he got 2 catches for 19 yards, and I'm like, you bastard.
And exited the game at halftime. So
yeah.
All right.
He tripped stepping out of the urinal. He's out for the second half. You son of a bitch.
Out for the season. On your ass. You never know what it's been.
I slipped falling out of the ice tub. You dumb mother.
Man, the Bengals last year, they finished at 6-9-1. That was a stupid ass tie. That game should have been over. I think that was that Redskin game. I hated that game.
I think it was too.
I watched that game. I like, bro, this is the worst game I ever seen.
Well, it was a London game before Halloween, so stranger things have happened.
Yeah, this year I feel like losing all those coaches is going to really hit them strong. I feel like it hit last year along with the injuries, but this year, all that talent that they lost on the coaching end is really going to hurt. In between that, you throw in the limited offensive line, and the defense is not the same caliber it was a couple of years ago. I got them at 6-10. What you guys got?
I think you are on something, sir.
I just came back. I'm sorry. Xavier was tripping up in there.
I think you are on something, sir.
What you got the Bengals at?
I have the exact opposite. I have them winning the division at 10-6. Yes, sir.
I have winning the division with. Let me see. I have
them winning the division at 10-6. Easy.
What I have 9-6.
So where's the other one? Where's the other one? Is it 9-7 or is it 10-6?
I mean 9-7. I'm sorry. Forgive me, y'all.
The losses I got: Baltimore, Houston, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Denver, Pittsburgh again, Minnesota, and Baltimore. Now, y'all try to change my mind on this. What do y'all see?
I have them losing at Green Bay, at Cleveland, at Pittsburgh, at Tennessee, at Minnesota, and at Baltimore.
So I got them winning both of the games against the Ravens. What do I have them losing? I am losing to the Texans, Green Bay, Bills. I got a surprise game against the Bills. I got them losing to the Steelers, the Jags, the Titans, and I have them losing to the Broncos. And I got them winning out the rest of the season. I feel like they're gonna start getting hot. I feel like
see the thing for me.
It's gonna be mixing time
at Minnesota.
I don't, man.
See the same
I'm
way.
not high on Minnesota. Like I love their defense.
You're crazy.
It's gonna come down to the same.
You're crazy.
I'm crazy. What?
You're crazy.
If
you're not high on Minnesota, you crazy.
No,
if you're not high on Minnesota, you crazy.
This is the only reason why I'm not high on Minnesota. They have the same thing going for them last year. It's just like, can they sustain their success? And I don't think they can. They may start off good, but I think they can wane down because their defense. It did the same.
No. Their defense got overworked because their running game was non-existent. They won't have that problem this year, which is why I'm high on Minnesota. Between Latavius Murray and Dalvin Cook, they're going to sustain drives. We love making fun. Lord knows, as a Packers fan, I love making fun of the Queens, and I love making fun of Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford had a hell of a season last year.
He did.
That nobody paid attention to. If he can come close to having that same, production this season, Minnesota is going to be a problem for the entire NFC.
What is the reason why he ended up having a good season? It's because that.
Well, they couldn't run the ball, so they ran through the air.
Who developed? Yeah, exactly. Who developed? You had Thielen come out of nowhere, and you have Diggs come out of nowhere. People are going to be checking on both of them this year. They won't get these little.
They can check on them. They can check on them all they want to, but you still got Kyle Rudolph. You still got Dalvin Cook out of the backfield. You still got Latavius Murray out of the backfield.
Rudolph can't stay healthy enough for me, so I can't even. I don't can't believe y'all even throw him in there because
but you still can't check for those. You still can't. Exactly. You still can't check for those running backs in space. And that's going to make a significant difference for the way that they play. I'm telling you, Minnesota is going to be a problem this year. And it hurts me to say that. It hurts me to say that. But I have to give credit where credit is due.
I still have no faith.
Are going to be a problem.
I still have no faith in that offensive line. And I'm still don't have no faith in Sam Bradford and him being consistent. That's one thing about, just having great numbers, but consistency. I can't see him doing that. And I truly believe that Sam Bradford will get hurt some point of time of this season. I can't see him being healthy the whole year because
and that may be the case, but the only thing that I do know is guaranteed 100% fact. Whenever Sam Bradford is healthy, he puts up numbers.
He's good.
He puts up numbers.
Sleeves. It's the sleeves, man.
Man.
Old school sleeves. What player on the Bengals do y'all see having a great season? Y'all both got to make the playoffs. So who's gonna be that breakout?
The obvious. AJ Green.
I mean,
their entire running back core.
Yes, sir.
I think Joe Mixon gonna take that job and run with it.
Oh,
Joe Mixon might take that job, but all three of them are going to get off.
I'm not saying Mike. I'm not saying Mike because he is. If you take both of them and put them in the machine, you come out with Joe Mixon.
But all three of them are going to get off, and all three of them are going to contribute to their overall success on the field.
I can see Jeremy Hill vulturing touchdowns. I can see Giovanni Bernard coming in on third down.
Well, I mean, you go through and you remember Jeremy Hill, if I'm not mistaken, since he's been in the league, no running back in the NFL has ran for more touchdowns.
I mean, he got 20 in the last 2 seasons, so that's why I say he's going to get his touchdown. Jeremy Hill is going to find a way to get
in the last 4 years, Jeremy Hill has more touchdowns than any NFL running back.
Yeah, because they run with him in that goal line situation.
Oh, yes. He does that job well.
I'm high on Tyler Eifert.
You would take Tyler Eifert over Kyle Rudolph?
Yes.
I would
because I don't personally. They throw the ball.
They give Tyler Eifert more opportunity for big plays than tight ends.
Green with the Vikings.
But he gets.
But you know what? The thing about it though, you get more chances to get more explosive plays than Tyler Eifert in that offense.
How many touchdowns we said Jeremy Hill had last 2 years? And we talking about red zone, and you still got AJ Green.
But that's the thing. Okay, so last year when Tyler Eifert was hurt. That's when Jeremy Hill ended up getting a lot of his touchdowns.
No, he's always got his touchdowns.
No. Listen to this. When Tyler Eifert finally came back last year, who was really the red zone leader? It was Tyler Eifert. But guess what? He didn't get his mechanics all together in time. But I'm pretty sure offseason he was hurt. But I'm telling you, a full offseason, that has been the red zone threat that they've always wanted, and they always looked him for. And I'm telling you,
that's who Dalton looks for. Dalton looks for Eifert almost as much as he looks for Green.
Exactly. And then also another sneak play is Brandon LaFell. I kind of like him to really eat up because he showed me in the last year that he can be a number 2. And I think that a lot of people are going to pass on him just because of his history.
He's going to be a number 4 this year if you include John Ross on the outside and Tyler Eifert in the middle.
But
I mean, you might push him back a little bit further than that because depending on the training camp that Tyler Boyd has, he might go behind him too.
Oh, Tyler Boyd, man, that dude right there, dude.
I don't know about LaFell, man. Like LaFell, he might have a sneaky week. I mean, he scored at the Texans game I went to last year, but he should have got caught, but that's what I'm saying.
Oh, that was a disgusting score. I remember going to that game.
Yeah, he was at that game too. That was disgusting.
Hell yeah, that shit fucking pissed me off.
That field goal was hilarious.
He snuck off and got that touchdown. I said, no fucking way.
But Jadeveon Clowney almost caught his ass, though.
If
he would have had 10 more yards, he would have caught his ass.
But yeah, I know people are not high on LaFell, but I just think like LaFell is one of those undervalued people.
He's not even drafted right now, man.
He's not even drafted, but this is the thing, because I don't trust Tyler Boyd. And the thing is, with Brandon LaFell, I feel like he'll give you those sneaky games where you just won't know what game he may pop off for. But I feel like he'll throw in those like, who can I compare him to? Like a Sammy Cooks or something like that. It'll be like a sneaky.
He'll get you like that 80 and a touchdown.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Like, I'll take him.
I'll take him if I just need somebody just extra on my bench. But if AJ Green happens to go down again, because Brent LaFell was the go-to when AJ went down. So.
But they didn't have a John Ross on there either.
Yeah,
so
I do like John Ross. So yeah,
right now they got AJ Green going like the bottom of the first round. I'll take him over a lot of those running backs that's going ahead of him. Like I'll take him over Melvin. I'll take him over Jordan Reed. I'll take him over Jay Ajayi. I think AJ Green is a guy who should have been starting his career off with 6 consecutive 1,000-yard games if he would have played all season. Yeah. He got hurt. So you can pencil him in for his 1,000 yards, and he has the potential to explode and get you about 10 or 12 touchdowns. And I do expect a bounce back year for Andy Dalton, who's going to like the back end of the 11th round. I think that's good value if you miss out on some of the.
Andy's another one of those confusing guys. I threw for 4,200, but I only had 18 touches. It's like, how, bro? Like,
and this is a guy that can throw for like 35 touchdowns if he's having a solid year. So I'm just. That line is the only thing that scares me. That offensive line, they got to keep him healthy.
That's true.
So as long as they can protect Andy, I can't see the Bengals having a bounce back year. But The offensive line is key in this whole situation as far as my grading system. So that's
I'm
why I
out.
got him right now at 6.
Now, the one thing that works out good for him as far as the line, though, is just being able to maintain that health and stuff like that. But the fact that they're still all relatively young, with the exception of Eric Winston, who will probably end up being a starting tackle game one, they're all relatively, like 9, 8 years or less in the
But
league.
they lost 2 of them to Cleveland. That kind of hurts, man.
Yeah, they did, and
two
it
interior
does hurt.
linemen.
But the thing about it, and I know from experience, sometimes you lose some, but long term future you can go through. Next
Oh
man
yeah,
up can actually turn out to be a lot better.
no doubt, no doubt.
People looked at us like we were crazy when we let all of our guards go and put in some dude named Sitton and some dude named Lang, and they turned out to be all pros.
Two
It's
all
just a matter of
pros.
how they work with them. It's just a matter of how they work with them. You got to
Can I
make it fit.
can I drop this on for AJ Green? I know you
Drop
said
it.
he was taken at the bottom of the first round. I think people should be higher on AJ Green, and if he does, by some stretch of the imagination, fall down to you, you should take him with the quickness. I feel that AJ Green, with a healthy Tyler Eifert, with that three-headed monster in the backfield, I think that he can quietly finish in the top 3 of wide receivers because he has a skill set. He's more versatile than people give him
Mhm.
credit for. He doesn't get popped like Julio and some of those other wide receivers, Mike Evans, and those big wide receivers. So he
Mhm.
eludes a lot of tackles. And I think that in the offense of having, Mixon and them back there, it kind of takes a lot of pressure off of Andy Dalton and also takes a lot of
Oh,
pressure
yeah.
off of AJ Green. And I think this is going to be the year where people really start taking more of a notice of AJ Green. Everybody, football heads know that AJ Green is good,
Mhm.
but I feel like the everyday person doesn't know that AJ Green is as good as people, I
Advertising.
guess, are exactly. And I feel like this is going to be the type of year with the schedule that they have, with the draft that they just did, that AJ Green can really have a breakout type of year and really put people on notice. So I'm really going to be checking for him, as well as my
If
favorite Michael
if I can
Thomas.
play devil's advocate for that, a couple of things to look out for to the contrary to that is because of that fabulous three-headed monster that they have, it will limit the number of pass attempts that they actually take this season. In addition to that, having John Ross on there to take off and make people more honest one-on-one is a good thing. However, I think that one of the more immediate reactions to that, because of the fact that he's the more polished seasoned receiver that people are going to pay attention to, I look for him to run more routes in the middle of the field on that route tree,
To
and
move the defense.
they're just gonna let Ross blow the top off, and
Yep.
they're gonna
He,
let
he, gonna,
Green
he,
be
gonna,
able
he
to
gonna move the
work the
safety.
middle of the field to make plays, a la Larry Fitzgerald, and
Mhm.
that puts him in a position to potentially risk injury because we know that he can get dinged up from time to time. But with that being said, if all things hit the way that the Bengals want them to, and Eifert stays healthy, the running game works out good. You're going to get an AJ Green that's probably going to catch 100 balls for about 1,600 yards.
Easy.
However, I do not think that he will score 10 touchdowns.
Can I also throw this also the caveat into that? When you said that he gets dinged up, I feel like AJ Green gets dinged up the type of wide receiver is how he comes down with the ball. I feel that's where
Yeah,
a lot of his injuries is.
Yeah.
But like you said, if he's coming up right the middle of the field, he avoids a lot of those tackles. I think he's elusive enough that he can avoid those tackles. And another thing with AJ Green is with all the weapons that they have in place now, I think that Andy Dalton, same with like how we had the discussion about Mike Evans, the connection between quarterback and wide receiver is irreplaceable. And
Mhm.
they have that connection. And you see that Andy Dalton will force the fucking ball to AJ Green. I don't care who's wide open. He'll force the ball to AJ Green. And I still think
if Tyler Eifert isn't on the field. To
that
me,
is true.
he has a stronger connection at this point with Tyler Eifert than he does with AJ Green,
He does with that
particularly in the
red
red
zone.
zone.
He does it in
Yeah.
red zone. That is true.
And that's why I say that I don't think that Green will score 10 touchdowns because I think that he'll have 6 or 7 long ones outside of the red zone. But I think once they get to the red zone, it's either going to be Jeremy Hill or one of the other backs, or it's going to be Tyler Eifert.
Would you guys take AJ Green or Mike Evans at this point?
I personally would take Mike
Mike
Evans.
Evans, because I'm high on
Okay.
Mike Evans.
Not by much though. It's not like head and shoulders above. But I just know that Mike Evans is going to get the lion's share of opportunities all over the field, not just red zone, but up and down the field, all the way through, and especially in the red zone.
Yeah, with the touchdown wise, see, I got Mike Evans finished. I feel like he's going to finish number 1 on the wide receiver
I have a strong feeling about that too. I think that it's not far fetched to see him finish number one.
Nice.
I have him,
and I mean, I think Mike Evans can easily pull about 1,500 yards and about 16 touchdowns, like for real.
All right, who is the one Bengals running back you would have to have at their current ADP? Joe Mixon in the third, Jeremy in the 10th, Giovanni in the 14th. Which one?
Jeremy.
Man, I gotta see. I gotta see how that. I gotta see how that the training camp reports look like. If he's
for the amount of touchdowns that he generates based on that draft position, I will take Jeremy Hill in a heartbeat.
He gonna get you
in a heartbeat.
He gonna get you 8 in the 10th round.
See, that's the thing about that, man. Last year he was horrible the first part of the year. He was not getting no touchdowns.
He was horrible all year, and he still scored 9 times. He was horrible all year.
I'm not gonna lie with you. Watching Jeremy Hill makes me dislike him. That's why I probably wouldn't draft him. But if you weren't going to watch
the Alfred Blue effect,
if you weren't going to watch any type of game, if you don't watch a game, do not watch a game. If you watch one of Jeremy Hill's games, he will make you not want to start him the next week, even though he'll probably give you 2 touchdowns. So if you're not going to watch the game, get Jeremy Hill straight on value. But if you have just
I think one of the common misnomers that we have is the fact that when we look and we think about Jeremy Hill playing in the game and stuff like that, we expect him to do like full running back duties, carrying the full running back share. When in all actuality, the only thing that Jeremy Hill is and should ever represent to any of us is just the goal line jackhammer. That's what he does. That's his thing.
That's it.
To go back and put it in. To go back and put it in nostalgia stake, and I'll even give him a better comparison than that because we're talking about the Bengals. He's their Icky Woods right now. Goal line, put him in. Jackhammer. Joe Mixon, Giovanni Bernard, that's your James Brooks. You get him from 20 to 20. Go get me them big yards, them swing paths, stuff like that. That's great. When we get to this goal line, Icky, come in, hammer this ball, do your shuffle, and let's walk these dogs. It is what it is.
See, I think what didn't hurt Jeremy Hill, but what hurt the Bengals was when they saw him kind of pop off for a lot of those long touchdowns that he had.
Yeah, they were like, let's make him a full-time starter.
This is what we need to do, but you kind of saw that you couldn't work him as a full-time starter. So I do agree with you at that notion.
No doubt. Well, in one of my keeper leagues, I think I'm gonna be aiming pretty high for Joe Mixon. I don't know if I'll be having him in any redraft leagues because I just don't know when that time is gonna come. I expect him to take the job at least by week 8.
In a redraft league, I'll wait until next year.
Hey,
in a dynasty, I'm taking his ass.
Yeah. Hey, also let's also throw a caveat in there. Gio got hurt last year, so that's
Gio's hurt right now.
That was
Gio's hurt right now.
Yeah, that was the inflation for Jeremy Hill also. So we need to take that into consideration. That's why I also didn't like Jeremy Hill because he didn't start getting them touchdowns till Gio went hurt, and they had to force it to him. But now what you said with Mixon, I don't know. I'm not how.
But see, that's the thing though. When you go through, like I said, if the only thing that you're looking at is the fact that if I get Jeremy Hill, it's because he's a goal line jackhammer and I just want the TDs. If you're looking for a back to get 2 points off yards, then that's a completely different ballgame.
So what do you draft him at? What was he at?
Jeremy Hill right now is at the back of the 10th round. He's going 10.
Oh, okay. Well, he's back at 10.
I'm all day long.
That is value.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's all day long. I'm taking that all day long.
I don't have my notes in front of me, so I thought you said Mixon was at 10 and Jeremy Hill was at what, third or fourth round. I was like, oh hell no.
Because basically you're getting second or third round at least TD production out of a 10th round pick with Jeremy Hill. I'll take that all day long.
Why is Mixon going at the third round? What?
Because everybody is figuring that he's going to be a day one starter.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
That's kind of how I think it too. Would you guys have Joe Mixon at the back of the third or Dalvin Cook in the middle of the fourth?
I like Cook.
I'll take Joe Mixon.
Okay. There we go.
I'll take Joe Mixon.
I don't know, man. That third or fourth round, man, that's not where I want to be drafting running backs. It's kind of when I want to grab a little bit of my second wide receiver or stuff. I kind of want to go straight out the gate with some.
In my third round, I'm taking a running back or a quarterback. That's just me.
Oh, you taking a quarterback in the third?
Oh, I like that.
depending on the type of league I'm playing in. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Depending on the type of league I'm playing in. Oh yes.
Yeah, quarterbacks gonna be throwing up numbers this year.
Because here's the thing: if everybody is thinking kind of like you guys think and stuff like that, and you place more priority on the positions and stuff like that, if I know that there's a no-brainer like a Drew Brees or an Aaron Rodgers, something like that, why wouldn't I take him in the third round? Yeah,
that's money. Yeah. Right.
That's what I'm saying. I'll usually look for running back or quarterback in the third round for that reason. Because most people figure, I'm still gonna win on the skill position talent and stuff like that. So I'd rather double down on the running backs or double down on the wide receivers, and then I'll take a quarterback. Well, that's fine. I'm gonna strike and get that quarterback you were thinking about before you get to him, so you can settle for whatever QB2 you had in mind, and then I can go through because
freak them out. Yeah, they gonna freak out.
Mathematically, there are more options at running back and wide receiver than there are at quarterback. Period. There's more of them to choose from.
And do any of you expect to have Tyler Eifert on the team? I know y'all pretty high on him.
I have him in one of my keeper leagues right now. I held on to him and kept him because I think he's going to have a bounce back year. In a redraft league,
he's going at the back of the sixth.
It depends on how the temperature is. I'm not really feeling that 6th round pick.
That's what I'm saying. I'd take him closer to Rudolph in the 9th round.
I'll take him closer to the 9th round, honestly, because you're still taking a huge gamble on the fact that he's going to stay healthy.
You let him drop, you still may fall into Hunter.
And the one thing I will say about the AFC North is this: all of their defenses may not be elite, may not be that great, but they do have some damn good linebackers in that division.
True.
And it's nothing for his ass to get hurt again.
It's some crazy.
It's some hitters. It's some hitters in that damn division.
That's true. But the thing is, if you want to play the riskiness, because the tight end position is now the risky position, and there's no surefire. And like you said,
it's like after 10, it's like
The question was, would you take Tyler Eifert? Yes. Would I take him in the 6th round? No. But I feel like he's going to give you the type of return or value, because I think he's going to fall to in most people's drafts, or like say that we're drafting with a couple of people. We know he's not going to go in the 6th round. He's going to fall, and I'm going to take him for the sure. Fact is, he's going to bounce back year. I feel like he's the tight end that can give me the touchdowns that most of the other tight ends cannot guarantee me, in my opinion. And then another thing is, I think he can get a lot of the yards after catch and a lot of I want to say design kind of tight end plays that most tight ends don't get. You know, a lot of tight ends get kind of, okay, my number 1 is locked up, my number 2 is locked up. Okay, I'll dump to the tight end. I think they're going to draw up a lot of plays for him.
You better believe he has a section in the playbook.
If he stays healthy. If he stays healthy, he can finish in the top 3 of tight ends.
So do you take Eifert in the 6th or Fedorowicz in the 8th?
Ooh,
I'm not even touching Fedorowicz.
I'm not touching him because of Deshaun Watson, but
like the tight ends.
Who's to say that Deshaun is the one throwing to him? It might be Sabbath for 16 games.
Man, the way the Texans.
I'd much rather take Ertz. Ertz going like 10.
I like Ertz.
Jimmy Graham's going like 8. Delaney Walker's going like 9. Even though he's kind of
Jimmy Graham is hilarious to me. Jimmy Graham is absolutely hilarious.
So like I think what. I put it like this: once Eifert go off the board, it's like, okay, let me start looking at tight ends, like because he's like that 5th tight end.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
okay. You're right.
So that's that benchmark. It's like, time to get a tight end.
Yeah. One gone.
It's
then
kind
you
of
have
like when Phillip Rivers leave at quarterback. Like, okay, who's left?
Oh yeah, damn. Like, let me start looking at quarterbacks now. That's a safe blanket, man. Hold on.
Once the safe ones go, it's like, oh shit. Now
let me ask this then. Okay, do you take?
I like him more than Greg Olsen.
Do you take Eifert in the 6th,
like
or do you take Eifert in the 6th, or do you take Bennett in the 5th?
Man, in the 5th round, my 5th round tight end is always Greg Olsen because I know I can pencil him in for 1,000 yards and he may score every other game. So I like the consistency because Cam is gonna throw to him. With Bennett, it's like, man, Jordy's gonna eat. Montgomery may have a wild ass game. Cobb may piss you off. Adams may piss you off. Then Bennett may have like a 3-touchdown game and don't score for a couple weeks. And that's the thing that's scary about Martellus.
But with Aaron Rodgers, one thing I know to be true, and you can look back over his entire career, when it comes to throwing in the red zone, the first place he always looks is the tight end. Regardless of way the play looks, if you really sit back and if you really look and pay attention, it's because of the fact that he doesn't lock in.
Geronimo
he's quick to go off the breeze.
James Jones used to piss me off in the
DeMarcus
but he will always look to that tight end.
Hey, before both of you talk, I follow Martellus Bennett. I would never trust him because it's going to be fucking cold outside. And what does Martellus do when it's cold? Martellus goes goodbye. He did it. He did it with the Patriots. And the only reason why he. Come on now. Are you serious?
Stop it.
They tell you.
We got the new Nike thermal shit up there. They wasn't taking care of him in New England.
Man,
Stop it.
Not even with New England. Even when he was all fucking sweatered up with the fucking Bears, he wasn't even getting touchdowns.
It's the Bears. It's Jay Cutler.
But that's the thing about it. Even though I love Aaron Rodgers, look, I love Aaron Rodgers. Yes. Look, okay. The whole thing we're gonna talk about.
He killed me with the sweater, though. He killed me with this.
We have to be honest. That is a concern for his whole career. When it gets cold, he goes ghost. I don't care who the
quarterback though, man. That's why you get a white tight end.
Hey, no, that's not all black people.
Stop it. Stop it. Keith Jackson was a beast in Green Bay. Stop it. Keith Jackson was a beast in Green Bay. Stop that. Bubba Franks was a beast.
No, look,
Jermichael Finley was a beast. They got plenty of black tight ends in Green Bay.
This year, the only black tight end in front of Martellus is Eric Ebron right now.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
I don't count him.
I'll bank on it. I'm more sure about that shit than anything in the world that Martellus Bennett would always go because I know purposely that I would draft Martellus Bennett.
So what's his numbers this year then? Since you think he's gonna choke up, because he's gonna play quite a few cold games. They play at Minnesota. They play at Chicago.
Listen, I don't think he's going to choke up. That's not my concern about Martellus Bennett. It's about him going ghost. See, what he does, he has that trade value that I love. When I draft him just high enough where I know that he's going to give me some production and he'll have good games, and I'll package him off and I'll fucking be done with him because he's burnt me that many times and I've seen him go ghost.
Oh, you just got buyer's remorse then. That's different. That's the way I feel about Ryan Matthews. That's the way I feel about Ryan Matthews.
There we go. That's how it is. Now, when Aaron Rodgers, on paper, it's glowing. It's like he has Aaron Rodgers, all these weapons. He'll be free up the middle, blah, 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 this, that, and third. I just seen the man go ghost too many times when it's cold, either when he was with New England and with Chicago. That's just like a superstition that I do not like.
Neither one of them had that bad man, though.
I'm with you 100%, man. I mean, yeah, they didn't have Aaron. Aaron Rodgers is a fucking beast. I mean,
neither one of them had that bad man.
Let's get that out the way. But he spread the ball out so much that you can't even lock him in for anything. And that's
I definitely feel you on that. But you go back and you look. You go back and you look at when Aaron has had.
You checking for Rodgers. You want Rodgers in the third round. If I'm in the seventh round, I don't want Bennett. I gladly take Hunter Henry. Like,
did y'all watch the Patriots? I know y'all watched the Patriots games last year.
Of course.
You saw when Gronk went down, Bennett became an option. Bennett had a couple good games and was still ghost. There was one time I saw Bennett run wide open on the sideline, and Brady looked his way and threw it to fucking Edelman. I said, you know what? This is the Bennett curse, and he knows about it. I don't know. Bennett doesn't catch the ball when it's cold. He gets butterfingers. He shivers up. He doesn't get off the block good enough. I'm telling you, Bennett is okay. You can take that flyer on him. Not me.
I'll be taking Jack Doyle.
Oh, I do like Jack Doyle. And that's the thing I look for. With tight ends, I'm looking for touchdowns. And with Greg Olsen, like you were speaking about earlier, DeMarcus, with Greg Olsen, he'll get the yards, but I don't see the touchdowns being there. Because with Cam, I don't trust him.
Bennett's going to have more touchdowns than Olsen.
Oh, Bennett.
Yeah, because he's gonna score 4 in one game and then have like 2.
No, the only reason
that's the way you really feel about it. You're gonna go with the Mickey Mouse voice on me. That's the way you do it.
The only reason why I brought that up is because with Tyler Eifert, when we were talking about the only reason why I take him over Greg Olsen is because I see the touchdowns being there. The yardage may not be as good as Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen may sneak off and get 1,000 yards. But he'll end up getting maybe 5 touchdowns. Yeah, he won't this year. No, I'm talking about.
Let me put it like this. I got a league, the keeper league that I always tell you guys about. It's a 100-yard bonus. So Greg Olsen, not Tyler Eifert, but Tyler Eifert got a couple times. Travis Kelce, those tight ends can get you 100 yards. No, I feel like all the other tight ends that we're talking about, they capped off at like 70 in a touchdown.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's why I said Greg Olsen would give you the yardage, but he won't give you the touchdown. But if you're like in I want to say non-PPR league or something like that, I'll roll a standard. I'm rolling with Eifert because I know that he'll get the touchdowns. He'll at least get. I'll promise you this. Or I don't want to promise you. I think Tyler Eifert might sneak around and get at least a touchdown a game. I might want to take 16.
Let's sit back and look at this. We're talking about AJ Green, Tyler Boyd.
We're talking about tight ends.
Brandon LaFell. We're talking about Mixon, Bernard, and Hill. And there's only one football and one Andy Dalton. Nah.
I'm just saying, man. I just saw that connection last year with him and Eifert, even though Eifert ended up getting hurt again. I just saw that there's a connection.
Like I said, that first game he came back, he got 5 targets in the first quarter. So yeah, they have a connection.
And I mean, let's look at it like this: how many times have you ever seen a tight end score 16 touchdowns in a season?
I think Jimmy Graham the last one. I think
Jimmy Graham did it. And I think Gronk did it.
I'm just high on, man. I'm high on Eifert, man. I'm just high on just his overall presence.
It's fine to be
high. And you're absolutely right, and that's high. But I'm just not 16 touchdowns high. And I'm 9 or 10 touchdowns high on him, but I'm not 16.
I'll take that too. But I'm just saying I'm just going on the bowl. I'm just going to throw it out there. I could feel like he can get a touchdown a game, but I don't feel like.
I feel you.
Are you confident taking him at end of the 6th, beginning of December? Like, are you locked in with it, or would you look at the board like?
I would
look at the board. I would look at the board.
It depends on the board.
It depends on the board. Now, if there's like maybe. If Gronk's gone, let me see some of the like Kelsey, some of the tight ends that I'm really high on. Even if a Cameron Braid is still there or somebody like that, I won't take Eifert.
If Eifert is one of the first 3 tight ends taken, okay, cool. And then somebody took him in 6. That's great. Whatever. If he gets taken in the top 3, if he gets taken in the first 3, then there's juicier picks for me to have. So I'm not gonna be willing to take him.
Rudolph.
But if it's like 6 or 7 tight ends that have already been taken, yeah, I'm gonna have to give that a hard look.
Rudolph, the red zone reindeer. I'm telling you right now.
I remember that last year.
He's gonna be top 5 in touchdowns at the tight end.
He looked nice at the tail end of last year. I will not lie.
I'll put it to you like this. I'll put it to you like this. Potentially, every tight end in the NFC North can finish in the top 10 for tight ends and touchdowns.
I can agree with that. I can
because there's some really good ones on every single team. Because that young cat that they just drafted in Chicago is going to be a super sleeper for somebody late in a draft.
And if that rookie quarterback come in, that's going to be his best friend.
I mean 6'7", 278. Shit. Too big. All he got to do is be able to run and post up, and he's good. He's golden.
And I'm still thinking that Eric Ebron is going to be good value.
I think he's going to break out this year.
I think Mark is going to pass on him too, so that's going to be the sweet one. Right
there. Who going to pass on Eric Ebron? I'm high on Eric. No, you remember we talked about it when we talked about Detroit. I liked Ebron. I didn't like him of years past.
Yeah, I didn't like him last year. I didn't like him the year before, but I think he's going to break out this year. I think he's going to break out this year.
The big key
because there's no go-to number 2 wide receiver in Detroit.
There's no Anquan Bolden to take all his damn targets. Who's just like a tight end.
Exactly.
Because Anquan would get up there and post up, and then boom,
Anquan Bolden would have 5 catches for 30 yards and a touchdown. And I'd be like, bro, what are you doing out here, B? Like, you need to go to the sideline. You take it away.
Anquan said, I'm eating and cashing these checks. That's what I'm doing.
And Eric Ebron,
that's what I'm doing.
Eric Ebron is a very athletic tight end. I've seen him run his routes, and I said,
he's a big wide receiver. He's not a tight end. That's the thing that makes him so simple.
And it showed out a lot last year, even though Matthew Stafford, for whatever reason, did not throw it to him. Eric Ebron got open on a whole bunch of routes, and I feel like if they finally develop that type of chemistry now that Eric Ebron's healthy, I feel like they can be a nice little duo together. So I'm high on a lot of tight ends this year, so I don't think you can really go wrong at a tight end position this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of options at tight end this year, arguably more than there's been in the past 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. A lot of tight ends emerge, and then a couple tight ends kind of relinquish their name back into the aspect, like a Martellus
Jimmy Graham.
Like a Jimmy Graham, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, how many games y'all got the Cleveland Browns winning?
None. No.
Wow.
Last year they was 1-15.
Wow.
The 2017 Cleveland Browns will win how many games, Wilson?
I said 4.
How many games, Griffin?
I got them winning 3.
I got them doubling up. I think they're gonna get 2. I got them beating the Jets and the Bears. That's it.
I got them beating Cincinnati. I got them beating the Jets.
Hold on, goddamn it!
I got them beating Detroit. I got them winning at Detroit, and I got them winning at the Chargers.
Speech about them winning the division, and they gonna lose to the Browns. Bro.
You ready for it?
Oh man,
you ready for it?
Go for it.
Because I know all of my family is gonna be listening to this podcast. Because my father's side of the family is from Cincinnati, so I grew up spending summers and falls in Ohio every now and then from New York. One thing that I can tell you about that culture is it exists between that rivalry between Cincinnati and Cleveland. It's just like any other great rivalry. It doesn't matter what their records are. Them dudes split more often than you think. and they've split with some terrible ass teams.
I would
It's
never
just the way that it's going to go. And these guys in Cleveland, which is one of the greatest things about it, them winning 4 games to me is a tremendous season for them because of the simple fact that right now, like Obama, they only have the audacity of hope. They're too young and they're too new not to know that they're not supposed to be good. So they're going to surprise some people in certain games and they're going to win. And being able to go through and split that season against the hated Bengals is like icing on the cake. Trust me. The two best games you will see them play, are against Cincinnati.
Yeah, because I remember that game. 2 years ago when? What was that? 3 years ago when Brian Hoyer? 3 years ago when Brian Hoyer played for the Browns, and he lit their ass up on prime time. And I'll never forget. I was just like, damn.
It's like they look like a different team when they playing against Cincinnati.
Man.
They look completely different. It's a different feel.
That's what I have to say about this division. They may not be the most. They may not have the teams that are the most interesting. But when their division games get on, it's real good TV because you'll see the Steelers just cook somebody for 45 points and they'll play the Ravens and it'll be like 9-3.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, what the hell going on here? So yeah, I do take you. I do agree with you there, and I think they are in the Sixers state of mind of rebuilding. With that whole, we want to go young, we want to kind of, redo the thing. Mm-hmm. I just personally feel like there's something. I don't know, man. There's something wrong with that organization, and I don't know what it is. They may get it together, but I feel like 3 games. I can only give them 3 games.
Okay, let's look at it. Let's look at it like this. This is the same team last year that went 1-15, but 5 of those losses were by less than a touchdown. So it wasn't like they were getting their ass stomped out. 2, you also have to remember the old regime in Cleveland is gone. It's a new front office. It's a new coaching staff. It's not the same old Browns. They showed you that on draft night because that was not a Cleveland Browns draft.
See, I don't like
they that. They actually made picks that made sense. And that's the thing about it.
See, that's the thing about it. It's like we look at the quarterback position, and that's where we.
Deshaun Kaiser, or are you talking about Kessler?
I'm talking about Kessler. I'm talking about the whole Brock Osweiler situation.
Don't worry about them. Don't worry.
See, that's good. You have to have a crash test dummy to protect your assets.
No, that's what I'm saying. See, this is the thing that I'm talking about. The way about training camp and the way they're hyping up Brock Osweiler is that he may still get that. What?
They not right now. Actually, Kaiser been getting all the hype right now.
I heard he got the hype.
They say he's progressing at a fast
But you know what? The funny thing about it is I want Osweiler to get all the hype because I want Kaiser to be like Steve McNair and Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
There is no shame in sitting somebody down and letting them wait and not getting them killed like a David Carr or a David Klingler. That's the problem.
And that's the thing about the Browns, which I'm trying, I ain't trying to be rude, but that's the thing that I was addressing earlier about with the Browns this year is because I feel like their quarterbacks are in the learning stage, and I feel like they'll roll with a Brock Osweiler who's not going to give you any games that you're going to win. In my opinion, this is in my opinion. I feel like this is a year where you just kind of look at the Browns and say, you know what, they have a decent young type of team that is a couple pieces away of making some noise, but they'll go ahead and just tank just so they can grab maybe another high draft pick, another good, wide receiver.
But the funny part about that though is that as currently constructed with all of the assets that they have, they don't have to tank this year. They got a shitload of picks for the next 2 years. They don't have to tank. They can trade up if they want to.
They don't have to tank, but I feel like the way their schedule is and the way I don't trust the Browns is because they don't have the greatest offense. I'll say that they'll tank out.
But see, the funny part about that is I think that gives them more latitude to be able to experiment and kind of find their identity as they go along. They don't have any pressure on them to win now, so that worked out. Their fan base doesn't have any pressure on them, so they can go through and experiment. They can kind of kick the tires on an Osweiler and see what he's all about. They can go with Kessler for a few games and see what he's about. They can go through at the end of the year and go with Kaiser and see what he's about. Because there's literally no expectation at this point.
Until they come down here to Houston. I already bought tickets for that game. I forgot to tell you, I bought tickets to 3 games. I'm going to the Patriots game preseason, see Watson live. I bought tickets to the Cleveland game because I hope Brock play, and I just bought tickets to the Pittsburgh game when they come.
That's the game that I'm going to. I'm not going to
know.
I will see you there. I'll see you
I'm
there.
Gonna let y'all know this right now. I love football. I love football to death. I personally do not go to the games. because I enjoy the this is just me.
The
I
atmosphere,
really
bro.
it's no there's no it's not even that. I'm in a regimen. It's kind of a regimen thing since I've been playing really since I really been taking fantasy a little bit more serious. There's a regimen I go through, and I kind of don't like breaking that regimen because if I lose, I swear to God, I will kill myself for a whole week and say I fucking lost because I broke my regimen, and I hate feeling that way. And that's why I can't go to no games because I have a regimen
Well,
that I stick to.
the Pittsburgh game shouldn't kill you. That's a Christmas game.
It's like 4 o'clock.
Oh,
It's on Christmas.
No,
it's like the only game that day.
And we're gonna and I'm not going to no goddamn game on no Christmas.
Shit.
Let
my man over here tell it. That might determine who the number 2 seed is for these playoffs.
This is where we're gonna talk about from my perspective. I have a stepchild, so I have to go to a lot of houses on Christmas. So I cannot go to no football game. Got to go to my mama house. Got to go to my daddy house. Got to go to her mama house. So that's just how I roll.
I feel you, but that's why I do my Christmas Eve rounds. I keep my Christmas open.
That's smart.
I'm doing everything Christmas Eve that way.
Yeah, I get all my stuff out of the way on Christmas Eve, so I don't have to worry about it on Christmas. I'm good. But I mean, to each his own. You get a lot more out of the experience now with modern day technology and stuff like that, watching TV than you do actually being at the game. You get more information that way. But yeah, that game day atmosphere, especially if it's a time where it's winning and something at stake, is awesome. It's
come on, Mark. You can't say that Bengals game wasn't probably one of the most exciting games you went to.
No, I enjoy it. No, trust me, I enjoy it. But there's a certain type of fandom that I get just watching a football game and being able to flip from game to game to game and really getting a look at the game. And that's how I do personally when it comes to playoffs. Oh, I'm there. If it's like week 16, 17, I'll find me a game to go to or something like that. But overall, in the meat of the season, I'm kind of at the house in my zone on my TV.
Hey, trust me, I'm with you like that on some type of weeks, but that's why I say I go to at least 4 games a season. And the only reason I've been doing that, I never forget. One year I was supposed to go to a Ravens game, but I missed out on it. So I ended up going to this Jacksonville and Houston game. I'm like, man, I don't want to see the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's the game where it went to overtime and Justin Blackman had like 240 yards. Andre Johnson had like 190. And Andre
I remember that game.
Had the game-winning touchdown.
That's the thing that makes it fun, man. And like for me, because of the fact that my team isn't down here, like I'll be at my Packers bar pretty much every week out of the season, like I did last year. But
we still
I'll be gone.
Don't forget about that.
Oh, you damn right. Trust me, I haven't forgot. I'll be gone for one game this year because we're going to return to the scene of crime. I'll be at the Packers and Cowboys game, but other than that, I'll be parked in front of the TV at my sports bar watching my Packers get their root on. Because, again, it's a lot more information that you get a chance to absorb that you don't get when you're actually at the game. Through technology and the commentary and all the replays and the stuff that they break down, you get a lot more in the presentation.
I hate that I don't have the audio. But
and another thing about this, and another thing is, I know we're going long on this, but when it comes to, just speaking from personal experience, when Xavier got introduced into my life and when I started dealing with Xavier stuff like that, it's kind of I kind of weigh my options on what I'm going to spend my money on, and that's another thing. It's like I'm spending like $100, maybe whatever for this type.
That's just called being smart. I'm not mad at you.
Yeah, that was the only thing, and this is why I was talking about this with the football games. You have to spend a little bit more money, and it's like the seat that I'm getting. It's not the entertainment value. It's like I'm not getting the entertainment of the amount of money I'm paying for this ticket. Whereas a basketball game, the money that I'm paying for my entertainment, shit, I'm getting that money. I'm 120. Oh hell no, man!
I'm sorry. My bad. My fault.
I have never been to a Rockets game where they lost. I would always say that. I haven't been
to a Rockets or a Texans game where they lost. Now, I'm kind of.
So you've never gone to a Spurs game? Cool. Awesome.
I'm risking it this year with this Steelers game, but
hey, you know what? It is surprising. The only game.
Spurs, damn it.
Listen to this, and this is funny. You say the Spurs. The only game I went to where the Rockets played the Spurs is when T-Mac came back on their ass, and that's the only game I went.
You guys love that game. I find that so hilarious. I have so many people that just dwell on that game. Not saying you. But I get so many people that love to bring that up, and I'm like, that's awesome, that's spectacular, because I love T-Mac.
Yeah, that's the reason.
I love T-Mac, but I'm like, what did it get you?
No, it got us nowhere. But you know what? The only reason I love that game, is because it finally put T-Mac showcased his skills to the highest level. And I always say that's the game where people look at it and say, you know what, we slept on T-Mac. And that's the game I always like to say now.
If they look at that and they say that, then they slept on themselves because he was a monster before he left Orlando. He was an absolute beast.
Alley
Before
to myself in the middle of the lane.
He was what, 2-time scoring champion before he left Orlando? Yeah, if you slept on him in the Orlando years, then you missed the boat on him completely.
He was Kobe before Kobe.
Definitely, man. All right, just to wrap it up on the Browns real quick, or before we wrap it up, David Njoku could be a factor when DeShone Kizer takes that job. I'm just not sure when DeShone gonna take it.
I hope he doesn't at all this year.
Man, I like the fact that he's a diva. I feel like you got to have a little bit of diva in your quarterback, a la Cam Newton, a la Aaron Rodgers. So
I preach about that all the time. If he ain't got no diva in him, he ain't trying to win. He ain't trying to win.
So I just want to see. I just want to see what he can do. Like you said, they got nothing to lose. They not going to be trying to make a playoff run. Just see what the kid got. Put him in like the last 4 games. Put him in against Green Bay. Maybe he may upset y'all last. Who knows?
He might.
Outside of that, man, is it any Cleveland Brown that you guys feel is at a good value?
Isaiah Crowell.
I like him too. I like Isaiah
Crowell. I do.
We was just talking about the lineman that they took from the Bengals, and I think he is going to be worth it.
I do. Yeah, their running game is going to be upgraded significantly because they retooled their entire offensive line. They're going to automatically win on stuff like that by default, which makes the tight end a good case. If Corey Coleman can stay healthy, having Kenny Britt on the other side makes him a sleeper pick as a wide receiver 3. There's people that you can take a flyer on here. Are there any starters on this team? No, but the closest one to being a starter for me is Crowell.
Easy. And Kenny Britt is going in the 12th round. Of course, I'll take Kenny Britt, man. You can't pass.
But I'm interested. I'm interested on taking Corey Coleman. I'm interested on seeing how Corey Coleman does.
I like Corey Coleman, but Kenny Britt from last year, what he had to deal with that fucking terrible shit of a situation with the Rams. I'm telling you, he can do more. He can do more. He'll give you 1,000 yards and maybe 8 touchdowns this year. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
No, I
can absolutely see that happening.
Man, Corey Coleman. All right, people that's going around Corey Coleman range. We got Tyrell Williams. I think that's easy. I think that Tyrell Williams. I think he's going to increase anyway.
I'll take Corey.
Quincy Enunwa.
I'll take Corey.
You take Corey. Kenny Stills.
I'll take Corey.
Stills. I'll take Stills because Stills last year, just watching his big play potential and just seeing that connection that him and Ryan Tannehill started to develop with Ryan Tannehill, not him. Hold on, let me get my thoughts together. With Ryan Tannehill finally spreading the ball out and not singular focus it on Jarvis Landry, he's kind of spreading the ball out more. Where Kenny Stills is starting to get see a lot of more looks and a lot of more touches. Mm-hmm. And you see they had a nice rapport at the tail end of this last year. It's funny I keep saying the tail end, but there's a lot of these QBs and second tier wide receivers starting to come back on, and I feel like Jarvis Landry's Ajayi in that offense really opens things up for Kenny Stills. So I kind of have him as a good sleeper pickup.
Corey Coleman or Cam Meredith?
Man,
Meredith.
Corey Coleman. Oh, I don't like Meredith.
Meredith is the number 1 wide receiver on the team, though, so he wins that by default.
That is true.
He's the number 1. He's the undisputed number 1 option at receiver for the Chicago Bears. He wins that by default.
Okay. Corey Coleman or Randall Cobb?
I like Randall Cobb.
Corey Coleman.
Wow.
Corey Coleman. Even Mark is like, wow.
Here's the reason why, and hear me out on this. The only reason why I say that I would take him over Cobb is the fact that I know for sure the action, the opportunities, and the manner in which Corey Coleman is going to be used in Cleveland's offense. I cannot say the same about Randall Cobb, especially with them upgrading at the tight end spot, because a lot of those quick hits over the middle and stuff like that usually go to him will probably start going to tight ends. And he's losing the ability to do a lot of those jet sweeps and stuff like that because Ty Montgomery is in the backfield now. His overall touches are going to diminish. Yeah, and that's going to be the problem with Cobb. That's going to be the issue. It's not a question of talent. It's not a question of him being able to make plays because he's going to get his fair share. I just don't think that he'll have as many opportunities as he's had in previous years to make those plays. That's the only reason why I picked Coleman over him.
Okay. Corey Coleman or Jordan Matthews?
Oh, shit. Oh, man. That's almost a push for me.
That is because they kind of got like similar situations. You know,
yeah. Their situations are like super similar.
They got
That's
a possession receiver on the other side. When you talk about Alshon, when you talk about Kenny Britton, they're gonna take up all the slot routes, and they both have a tight end that can go in there and sneak some yards from them in Ertz and Njoku.
You know what? I will give a slight edge, a very slight edge to Coleman because to me he's a little bit more explosive in the passing offense. To me, he has more. He has more big play potential as far as busting the seam open or blowing the top off of a defense than a Jordan Matthews.
I can definitely agree with that. And are you guys in at all on David Njoku, even as like a late round tight end?
I like
would you just stay away from rookie tight ends this year?
No. I never do that. A tight end is a tight end to me, whether it's rookie, whether it's 9th year, 10th year. If they're in a situation where it looks like it's favorable for them to be able to produce, and again, the key when you have inexperienced QB that may have good running game, good line, that next level for that QB is finding a security blanket. That's the closest thing on that entire roster to a security blanket that the Browns have.
And if you know if Brock Osweiler's starting, you know how he look. We know
he'll load it up. He's gonna load it up.
Yeah, he'll throw it to the tight end. He'll pepper it to the tight end. So you saw what Fedorowicz did. So if you
being completely honest about him too, I mean, it's hard to suppress his natural ability as an athlete out there on the field. Like he's going to generate opportunities where there may seem to not be any present to get opportunities to make plays because of the nature in which he goes about doing his business on the field. He's very athletic. He's also very physical. Not as much as I would like him to be that dual way Jason Witten tight end.
He doesn't block,
but he has potential for it, and that's the part that's frustrating. He can do it, but it's the thing where he's never been in a position. Well, he's never been in a position where he's been asked to do it. To be honest,
that's
true. Not in Miami. They use him as a receiver.
But I think that he can be next in line. That assembly line for Miami with tight ends. I think they cranked out another one. I think it's another guy that's gonna be out there and be like, damn, it's another damn tight end from
now. Do you guys expect David Njoku to have more catches, yards, and tight ends and touchdowns than OJ Howard?
Probably
yes.
All three. Is it safe to say?
I expect him to have more catches and yards. They might be even on touchdowns.
Yeah. And then on top of that, can we also the report about Duke Johnson go into the slot? That's also interesting to take a look at Duke Johnson.
In PPR, he's talented. If him and Coleman was there in the 10th round, I'd probably take Duke.
Man, he's talented, man.
Here's the funny thing about it, man. Here's the funny thing about it. And yes, I love that, but I think that for me personally, and it's in my opinion, it's a Seminoles fan that's begrudgingly admitting, but I think that they would be doing a disservice to that man's talent if they just moved him over to the slot. Because he has a lot to offer at the running back position as far as versatility.
Whenever Crowell get tired,
But I mean, you know, as far as scheme versatility and stuff like that too, because the one thing about it, and I call that Ty Montgomery syndrome, if you're going to go and fulfill this experiment, when they went through and they changed this experiment to something official with Ty and, okay, you're a running back now. Well, Ty Montgomery's offseason was different. It was a lot of weightlifting. It was a lot of bulking up and filling out that physicality standpoint for a running back. When you go through and you tell Duke Johnson, okay, well, we're not going to have you as a full-time running back no more. You're going to be more of a receiver. Well, some of that bulk and some of that muscle is going to have to come off to a certain extent because you're going to have your endurance up to be running all those routes during the game. So it kind of takes away from the nature of what he does from a physical standpoint because now you're taking him out of that body and mindset of a running back and putting him into that body and mindset of a receiver. So unless you're into that whole Darren Sproles type thing, where you just basically he's just like a slash, if you don't like put him in that specific lane, I think it's a disservice. If you're going to let him just maintain that versatility and be like, well, we're going to experiment with putting him in the slot, okay, cool. But if you're saying, okay, we're just going to turn you into a slot receiver, I think you take away from what he can do for you on the offense.
See, I think with Duke Johnson, what they're probably going to do is probably experiment him with the slot receiver. See, Hugh Jackson is known for running a good two-back system, so I think he'll still be the third down, I guess, back or whatnot.
No, but I still think third down back. Yeah.
I mean, for me, just use him like Darren Sproles. Just use him like Darren Sproles. You're good.
I think Hugh Jackson wants to utilize him more because I think he sees the talent, so he wants to have him at out on the field the same time
Yeah.
that maybe a Terrence West is out there, but still
Yeah,
using
you
the
do what
third
you
down.
can to keep
He's trying to
as many people out on the field that can make
exactly.
plays.
That's what I think that he's kind of rolling with. So I think Duke Johnson could be a sneaky value that if people want to take a flyer on, as
Oh, in a
somebody looking
PPR league,
Yeah.
I'm taking him.
that's no sleeper. There's no sleeper to it.
He's a real value, but I think this also gives a boost to Crowell because that is the lead back now. You know, last year it was like they splitting carries or what we gonna do in the backfield. This year, Crowell, you first and second down.
Yeah, part-time work, he got 950 and 7 touchdowns. I mean, that's less than 200 carries. Oh yeah, he's gonna be legit being that, and that was behind a bad line. He's got great linemen now. Dude can turn up and easily hit 1,200, 1,300 yards and about 13 touchdowns.
Cool. I can agree with that. Yeah, before we get out of here, who is the one player in the AFC North that will be on your fantasy team? Who's the one player?
Ooh.
If I can get, man, that's a tough. I don't know.
Ooh. Well, now we're obviously getting past the obvious, right?
Oh yeah,
I mean, my obvious too is gonna be AB and AJ. So I mean, we're going past that, right?
I mean, you can. I can let you know who mine is, which of course you should know. It's gonna be Martavis Bryant.
I'm jumping. You'd have to have him over Bell.
Let's see. I mean, I can't guarantee I'm gonna get Bell, but I have more leeway in guaranteeing that I can get Martavis if I'm aggressive enough in my draft.
Okay, Mixon. I'll take Mixon.
Oh, come on, man.
The only reason why I would take him is because
that's what I'm saying. If y'all was to swing up and get Mixon, then I'd be like, all right, I got to go get my other guy Martavis.
See, I'm not swinging up to get him. In my opinion, just based on my drafts, just based on the people that I compete with, I don't think people are checking for him as much as they probably will be. And they'll be in their days phase probably, and they'll go for other people. But I think Mixon's going to fall to like maybe the 5th round, and I feel like I'll take a flyer on him because
bro.
I think I'm not talking about like with our leagues. I'm talking about just some of my other leagues. I feel like Mixon is the type of dude I can kind of take a flyer on because I think he's the type of back that can fall into the number 5, but he can give you, I guess, like return value of maybe a number 3, like people are going for because he has that talent and he could be the number 2 that can win you a fantasy championship, just how Jeremy Hill was that one year.
At the tail end of the season, yes.
Exactly. If you got him, he was money. Or David Johnson. He's one of those running backs that will come out of nowhere and give you they could carry to a title.
I wrote David Johnson off the waiver wire, so I know exactly what you're talking
about. For me, honestly, if there's one person that I'd say that I'd have to have out of this division, just because of the simple fact that, like it said, he's not really being checked for, but I think he's going to actually have a great season, is Isaiah Crowell. I legitimately think he can get like 1,200 yards and about 12 or 13 touchdowns.
I'm with you.
I think that other than Le'Veon Bell, and he might actually challenge Le'Veon Bell for most rushing yards out of that division, because he literally has nothing but opportunity. I mean, I'm just calling a spade a spade. He literally has nothing but opportunity. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be mad about it, but I'm just saying. He's going to have plenty of opportunities in garbage time. He's going to have plenty of opportunities where people aren't really...
yards, but not total yards. I'll give you
rushing yards. I said rushing yards. See? I said rushing yards. You got all hot and bothered.
I'll give you rushing yards. Whatever. What your wife?
I mean, David Johnson is going to crush him on total yards from scrimmage anyway, so I'm not worried about that.
Hell no. Who led the league in yards per game?
We're talking about total yards.
Who led the league in total yards? Total touchdowns.
Total season, so don't worry.
David Johnson this year will give you at least 12 to 13.
Leonard won defensive player of the year.
Oh my God! Here we go with this nonsense.
I got David Johnson for 23.
Oh my God!
I got him for 15. I got David Johnson honestly at 1,200 yards, maybe 14 touchdowns, and I also got him at 1,200 yards. Receiving, I feel like they're really going to utilize him on the receiving end.
And Kawhi Leonard got more steals than fouls too, so shed that darkness on it, put that light on it too, homie.
Man, I don't want to hear all this shit.
Yeah, you don't want to hear it, but it's in your face.
Because he still missed 20 games, so y'all over here tripping on late.
He still missed 20 games, only 26 games. Wow, Tom Brady missed 4 games, he still won MVP. Ain't nobody tripping, but it still is what it is. We're talking about these fantasy numbers, homie. The only thing I know is I'm taking 2,000 plus and 20 touchdowns over Le'Veon's 3/4 of a season. I'm just saying.
He ain't suspended this year, pimping. Maybe that was last year.
Yeah, maybe he'll just roll that ankle this year, pimping, and miss them same 4 or 5 games.
All right, you know what? Then we're gonna fight
He
at the
about,
Christmas game.
you know
That's
what?
it.
He about to do. You know what? I'm gonna take it a step further. He about to do that Eddie Lacy, homie. While he out here holding out, he at the buffet right now eating ribs. I'm just telling you that right now.
Nah, he making mixtapes, man. You better get on.
Whatever.
You
He
don't like
eating
him.
ribs. He eating link sandwiches. He eating potato salad. He living it up, homie.
Hey man,
He living it up.
We up here talking about fantasy. We forgot all about basketball.
It wasn't no basketball.
Shit, because we're a week and a half away from actually seeing football. That's why.
And I still think that we ain't gonna spread no love to that Kyrie and LeBron love. Nah.
Bro, we can do it. I'm not mad at you. We can do it. Whose side are you on? You a Kyrie guy? You team Kyrie or you team LeBron?
I don't know. As DeMarcus, you want us to put it up on this?
Oh, you goddamn right. I'm Team Kyrie because nobody wants to be in LeBron's shadow. Everybody,
Exactly.
everybody tends to forget that Kyrie signed the extension a week before LeBron decided to come back home. So Kyrie didn't say he wanted to play with LeBron. LeBron actually chose to play with him because he seen the talent that he had. So for Kyrie to be hustling backwards, and this is what I call hustling backwards. Because he already got his ring out the way. So he's not on that Chris Paul stage or that Melo stage where I'm chasing the ring. I already got my ring. I already got my moment in history. Now I'm ready to become the man.
Exactly.
So
and I feel like
the fact that he's ready to take that next step and become the man.
Is he equipped to become the man, though?
He may not be, but he got his ring. He got nothing else to prove. Ray Allen left after he won his ring. Nobody said nothing. Even
and I feel you that, but you're talking about Ray Allen being a more complete all-around player than Kyrie, too. Kyrie Irving is basically Tony Parker on steroids. Does that make him equipped to be the man?
We really don't know what Kyrie can do because he's in LeBron's shadow. And yes,
why don't you? You've seen Kyrie play without LeBron before.
But we didn't see this level of Kyrie Irving.
Can I tell you this too? And that's another thing that that people like to talk about with Kyrie Irving is he doesn't have a team that's tailor-made to around him. And I'm gonna tell you like this.
The ones that he does have this made for him are the ones that ain't really needing him or taking him at this point.
Okay. Think about
we acting like LeBron left a healthy roster behind for him.
And he's about to, and then LeBron's gonna jet the next year. So why Kyrie's like, man, why don't he stay?
Yeah, I don't know why everybody's so caught up on this LeBron's gonna leave next year thing. I really don't.
Let me tell you why. Because LeBron wants this. This one thing that LeBron always check with. LeBron, no, it's not even being an attention whore. LeBron is the type of dude like this. He's trying to take the most time off during the regular season. On top of, he knows he can turn it up in the playoffs. So to do that, you need what type of team? You need a younger team. You need a team that can give you that time off so you can, get your energy together, whatnot. So he went from D-Wade to Bosh to what? Kyrie and a kind of a younger squad with Kevin Love, who's still, young. And then he's probably going to.
So where's he gonna go?
I don't know, man. This whole Lakers situation, they really push.
Do you really think that they would let LeBron come to the Lakers and be LeBron?
Yeah.
Yes, they would. Yes,
they want him to go to Miami.
Okay. Time out. Hear me out. Time out. Name the organization that LeBron went to where he didn't have a say so in everything.
Miami.
And you don't
think he had a say so in everything now.
You don't think Magic?
You think Magic is going? Bruh, Magic is not going to cave into LeBron. I'm telling you that right now.
Not Pat Riley. Magic is not Pat Riley.
Bruh, let me explain it.
He's trying to sell tickets.
Exactly.
You can sell tickets. You can sell tickets with what you got there now.
And you can sell more with LeBron.
And this is the thing that you keep forgetting about this also. Pat Riley is a kind of an egomaniac. He likes his ego. He doesn't know how to check his ego. Magic, for one type of person, is a type of person. No. For the type of person that Magic is, he can check his ego. And he's not all about himself. He don't mind LeBron getting that attention and kind of blowing up.
It's not about attention. It's about doing somebody's job. Magic Johnson is not about to sit there and let LeBron be GM. That's the biggest problem.
LeBron won't be GM.
Tell me what person.
But that's the problem. LeBron doesn't get that kind of power and get that kind of say, so he's not going to be inclined to go there. That's the problem.
LeBron won't be GM, but I bet you that him and Magic Johnson can work together to bring in younger players or develop teams. I don't think he'll be.
You're still not telling me something that they need LeBron for to be able to do on their own. Magic can do that on his own.
If LeBron want to go,
but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's not a thing of what LeBron wants to do. It's a thing of what the Lakers need him for or not. They may not need him if their youth movement is going on and they're ahead of schedule. Let's say they go through this season and they surprise everybody and win 45 games.
That shit ain't about to
Do you
happen.
still
No,
need? Do you still need LeBron now? So I've seen stranger things happen. You say
no.
Yeah,
no,
we
but
seen a
I've seen
team win
stranger things
72
happen.
games and sign the MVP. So yeah,
I've seen it happen, and I feel like Magic Johnson, the way that he's been talking, and the way the reports have been floating around, that's like a surefire thing that he may jet to LA. He may not jet to LA, but I feel like if out of all the teams that's in the league, the LA has the highest chance to get LeBron. And on top of that, back to the Kyrie thing, I feel like Kyrie. I feel like people are giving Kyrie a little bit too much of a knock on his character, saying that you playing with a star, you shouldn't
you
leave.
should
This
be
is the
fine in
best
the
you got it.
shadows. What the fuck?
But I'm just like Kyrie doesn't want
But he's
this.
not in no shadow.
What?
Yes, he is. Yes, I don't know what in the world he lives.
Okay, let's call a spade, and let's get past all the social media stuff and things like that. And you go off the eyeball test. Kyrie is not living in anybody's shadow. Kyrie is just as valuable to
No,
that
no, no.
team.
He is not just as valuable because guess what? When I
Why
turn
not?
on the TV, because I'm gonna
Why
tell you
not?
right, I'm about to tell you.
If he
Listen,
don't hit that jumper on Curry, do they even have a ring at this
who
point?
cares? Who
Why
cares?
not?
Oh,
Guess,
if
wait,
Rihanna don't hit that corner three, what about LeBron?
LeBron still gets
So
some
we back
credit.
on.
If
So we
No,
back on
listen,
this usual. We
if
back on the
if
FaceTime thing.
No, I want you
if James Harden wasn't drinking all that liquor in Miami, what about that?
hold on. No. I want you to. No, your question was, does he not stay in the shadow of LeBron James? Even when Kyrie hit that clutch shot,
It was still about LeBron.
no, it was still about LeBron. Everything is still about LeBron. When the Mavericks, as great as Dirk played against the Mavericks, it was still about LeBron. When we talked about how great the Spurs did and how they destroyed the Cavs, who was still the main topic? LeBron. When the Warriors fucking demolished the Cavs, what happened? LeBron is still a topic of discussion.
You got a triple first player with
Okay,
triple
so
in the
quick question
finals.
on quick question on this since we're on this. So that was LeBron's doing?
No, that's the thing. I don't think there's.
Then that's my only point. That's my only point. That's where we get it caught up and we get it wrong.
No,
It's all about perception. We talked about this before.
No.
We put it out there, and everybody
I
wants
would
to go
not
through and
believe.
directly attribute these things to LeBron. But
I
it's
would
not like LeBron is out
no,
here trying to seek all this attention. You go through and you look at.
Man.
Oh no, you did not.
Hear me out.
No,
Hear me out.
You didn't let me.
Hear me out. Hear me out. The only thing that I'm saying is this: we're sitting here and we're trying to make it seem like LeBron is pulling all these strings with the media and stuff like that. Of course, they were going to talk about LeBron when they won the championship on Golden State because he's from Cleveland. That was his goal to bring a title back from Cleveland. That was the narrative. That was what was going to get the ratings. They put LeBron out there because they know it's going to get instant clickbait and instant ratings. It's not like he's masterminding and getting all these media folks to come up and do this and do that. It ain't that critical to him. He's got his money, he's got his fame, he's got his notoriety, he's got his title.
No. And for you to sit up there and say that LeBron James, out of all people, don't try to get attention, that is the biggest laugh ever. Because LeBron James just fucking 2 weeks ago released a dancing video of him dancing in the fucking thing, and it fucking shattered ESPN. That's all they fucking talked about.
He's a millennial. That's what they do. You function through social media. That doesn't mean you're an attention whore.
No. Let me. This is the thing that I want you to. This is the thing that I always want to break down with LeBron James. Me as an average fan, I don't care what nobody says. Even taking my LeBron hate out of it, nobody wants to hear about somebody that fucking much. That's my problem with Kevin Hart. That's my problem with oversaturation. And you have that oversaturation with LeBron James where he's constantly being talked about 24/7, 365. Kyrie Irving is the closest person to LeBron right now. Do you not think that he gets any type of credit amongst other people? When the big shot happens, LeBron James still gets a thing. When Kyrie was had that game against the Warriors where he took off and he led the team in scoring, guess who still got the love? LeBron James triple-double. I'm telling you, the mindset of a type of person is if I start a company with somebody and we're going toe to toe. We're killing it out here. But guess what? It's always your name in highlights. It's your name in the newspaper. Your name's on Billboard and stuff like that. It kind of checks you as a person. You say, you know what? Am I being valued here? And guess what? Who says that he's not going to have that same type of value if he goes to anywhere else? But it's not out of the question of the possibility that maybe he's just tired of it. He just wants to move on. We're human at the end of the day. Nobody wants to live in anybody's shadows. And I'm telling you, I believe Kyrie Irving, not just to him, but to a lot of people, he's in the shadow of LeBron James. And yes, he may not have the type of skills that of a John Wall, Chris Paul, something like that. He's better Isaiah Thomas to me. I feel like if you can cater a team around Isaiah Thomas, you can cater a team around to Kyrie Irving. And I feel like wherever he's going to go, I feel like he's going to have a good career. He may not get a championship, but I feel like he'll have a good career.
And then you say he don't seek attention, but ever since the Chris Paul trade went down, he been putting rockets at the end of everything he treat. Like, come on, dude. Like he's looking for attention.
He's a millennial. Anything. That's what millennials do.
He's
but here's the difference. Okay, here's the difference. Oh, yes, the hell he is. He's every bit of a millennial. And this is the thing. This is what you have to understand. There's a difference between media manipulation and slanting and being an attention whore. Media attention and manipulation, yeah, you go through and you run all these basketball topics and stuff like that, and you got that going on, and that's all well and good because people are going LeBron, because right now he's clickbait. He's hot for clickbait. You can say anything about LeBron, and somebody is going to read it just off GP. Being an attention whore, how many TV shows does LeBron have?
Shit, he got a whole undisputed.
Answer the question. How many TV shows does LeBron have?
He got an app.
You don't need a TV show.
Fellas, y'all are too busy trying to argue with me, and you're not listening to what I'm trying to say. I'm not talking about TV shows that he's in. LeBron James has at least 2 TV shows that he executive produces. He has the fastest growing food chain in the history of America. He has plenty of things that he can draw attention to. But see, that's what attention whores do. He tell you everything about everything that he had going on and flaunt it in your face, but he doesn't. That's the difference between people manipulating and using him as clickbait and him being a true attention whore. His Blaze Pizza chain is the fastest growing fast food chain ever in the history of America.
But that's a beautiful.
If he's an attention whore, he's blasting that.
But guess
he's broadcasting it to everybody.
That's a beautiful thing. But guess what? You don't have to be. You can be an attention whore, but not be in a negative connotation of an attention whore. You don't have to flaunt yourself, but you do. You have to put out a video on Instagram.
Is that man not allowed to have his own life?
No, guess what? And that's fine and dandy.
Because if the only thing you weigh against him is the stuff that he personally does, then it's not really that much. Him making videos on Instagram and stuff like that ain't that bad. All the other stuff that you got going on with the media and ESPN reporting and stuff like that, that's not him. That's them.
It's coded. No, it's not. It's LeBron. He's coded. He's always coded. LeBron is the greatest coded player I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's calculated.
He's the most calculated superstar I've ever seen in my life. Okay, so when he's taking these little slugs and shit like that, when he got these videos,
you got to decipher that shit.
He knows when to drop shit.
So LeBron is pretty much the same as Jay-Z at this point.
During the Warriors parade, what did LeBron do?
You damn can say that.
LeBron is pretty much Jay-Z at this point.
I can agree with that.
Let me ask you a question. During the Warriors parade, during the Warriors championship parade, what happened? What got ended up getting talked about? What happened?
What that man did on his personal time on his Instagram page and on his video.
Got a video of him being bald, dancing in the club. You don't think LeBron purposely put that shit, knowing that people were going to click on that shit? LeBron knows what he's doing. You don't.
LeBron has the right to have his own life, though. You penalizing this man for doing this stuff on his own personal social media.
I'm not penalizing LeBron for doing that. That's a beautiful thing. Yes, because guess what? Amber Rose knows that she can purposely put out no. Just listen to what I got to say. Amber Rose can purposely put out a video, or she can personally put out a picture or something like that, knowing that it's going to cause a talk because of her name value alone. LeBron James knows the same thing. I would never be ignorant to the fact that saying that LeBron James don't ever know that his name is being talked about ever. He purposely knows how he can get his name into any type of conversation. I don't care what nobody says. That's why you hear all these little bullshit reports with, LeBron wants Josh Jackson in a trade, or him working with Eric Bledsoe or stuff like that. LeBron loves this shit and he eats it up.
The reporters and the media that get paid off the clickbait shit that they publish love that shit too. That's why it stays in the air.
They do.
So you're faulting LeBron for what's a collaborative effort. You act as though he's singularly doing this.
I'm not faltering LeBron. Nowhere did I blame LeBron or say, LeBron needs to stop. I said that LeBron is having the type of attention that he gets. Guess what? It's rubbing Kyrie the wrong way, either overtly or fucking inadvertently. It's still going to rub somebody the wrong way at the end of the day. Like, LeBron still has a hand in this. I would never say that LeBron doesn't have a hand in this. LeBron knows what's fucking going on. He has enough people in his circle, and he has Maverick Carter, who is a good enough of a businessman who knows how he can do the Jimmy Iovine route and make sure that his name is in fucking everything so you can still get a piece of it. LeBron's smart. He's a smart businessman, and I would always give him credit for that.
So Kyrie is basically mad because he's not as smart or as powerful or influential enough of a businessman as LeBron, and he wants out.
This is what I'm talking about. We live in a society where everybody wants to knock somebody for having their own decision. That's why I would never knock Kyrie.
I'm not knocking the man for anything. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, he seems to be upset with the fact that he doesn't have as much power and sway as LeBron, so he wants to go somewhere where he does have that much power and sway, which is why he's all of a sudden in love with the Knicks. That's not faulting him for anything, but that's not lying on him either.
But that's okay. Well, let me say that to the majority, people will say what you just said, but say it in a negative connotation. But that's exactly probably what Kyrie is feeling. And
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's something that's been done by many an athlete in many a sport, especially basketball, over the years. It's nothing new. It's nothing really earth-shattering about this. Oh, okay, somebody don't want to play up under somebody else's shadow. Somebody wants to have a chance to be the man, go out and make their own legacy. So, I mean, it's happened dozens of times. That's pretty much the reason why OKC broke up when they had their big three.
But James Harden also didn't get paid what he was wanting, and that's what
for whatever the reason. But at that time, there's no way that all three of them were going to get a time to shine and be the man if they were all together. That's why they all left.
But period. You have to. But the question would always be, what we're debating here is why is everybody knocking Kyrie? But you can't knock Kyrie because he. But
see, in my opinion, I don't think that everybody is. I think that you have a certain amount of people that are LeBron fans that are like, oh, why wouldn't you want to play with one of the greatest and stuff like that? There's a certain amount of validity to that statement. And then you have people that are Team Kyrie that are like, well, let the young buck go out and make his own way. He ain't got to sit and follow the coattails of LeBron for his whole life. And there's validity in that as well. At the end of the day, you're talking about two men that are choosing to make business decisions about what they're going to do with their careers. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's not earth-shattering. It's not the Beatles breaking up or anything like that. It just is what it is. But unfortunately, we haven't gotten the football season yet, and there's really nothing hot happening in baseball right now. So you have to find your ratings and your clickbait where you can find it.
But that's fine. But that's the thing that we're circling right back to is it's not. It's being talked about and it's being highlighted and it's being illuminated to a lot of people. And I have not seen, I've been on social media enough times, I've been listening to sports radio enough where I don't hear nobody really cutting for Kyrie or giving Kyrie any type of love. It's kind of bad you, Kyrie, for leaving and for you talking bad on LeBron when Kyrie is just like, man, just let that nigga leave.
Well, the other part about that is you go through and you look and social media will build you up and destroy you as well, because you can go back to when Kyrie first came to Cleveland and was on talk shows and little kids were asking him if he would ever leave like LeBron, and he said no, and this, that, and other. You have different factors that factor into that as well. You have to walk it like you talk it at the end of the day, or people are going to call you out on it, especially in the court of public opinion. And, you can look it up. It's on YouTube. There was a little kid in the talk show that asked him if he would ever leave like LeBron. He was like, no, I'll never leave like that. So that part adds to it too. And you have to remember the day and age that we live in with the media that we live in. What gets ratings more, unity or divisiveness?
Oh yeah,
it's all a part of the plan. And that's my thing. That's why I say they'll go through, and you know what? I absolutely believe you when you say you've probably never seen too much promoting Kyrie's side, because that's not going to help them do what they want to do as far as getting ratings and clickbait.
I agree.
So yeah, of course they were slanted that way. But at the end of the day, the three of us that are talking right now, we're smart enough to see and read between the lines. And that's why I find it funny. And I'm just poking around because y'all know I'm a Spurs fan. I don't give a shit about Kyrie or LeBron.
It's just something fun to talk about. The biggest issue that's being left out is what's going on at the top. I mean, it's clearly.
But see, that's the funny. There is no top. Dan Gilbert is a fucking idiot. He's always been a fucking idiot. And now the Emperor's new clothes are showing. That's all it is. That's all it is. They complain about how hands-on Jerry Jones was with the Cowboys. Well, fuck. At least he was winning consistently. At least he was making smarter decisions to put a team out there that was good. You're sitting here complaining about a luxury tax. Oh, I need to cut back and do this and do that and all this other good stuff.
It's not like he's the only owner that got to pay luxury tax.
Exactly.
If you want to win, you have to pay.
Can I tell you this right here? There's a fact that, there's a thing that I looked up today, and I wanted to look up Dan Gilbert, and I just wanted to see if I'm really giving him enough credit, or is my reserved notion of giving him praise justified. So Dan Gilbert, on the average on last year when they won their championship, do you know that he lost according to Forbes, $40 million. And on top of that, he's going to lose about anywhere between $800 and maybe $100 million worth of revenue because his team is not, even though they're winning and they're getting,
nobody go to those games.
They're still not getting no money. So Dan Gilbert
what's his main job?
But hold on. This is the thing about it. So I don't care what you say, and I don't care what nobody says, and I'm gonna put this on everything. You as a person, yes, you are a billionaire, but when you have an investment, I don't care whether it's big nor small, if it gives you a negative return, it's still gonna fucking stink to you. I don't care what nobody says. And
you already got your ring.
And the flack that we're gonna give David Griffin is, not Gilbert. It's Dan Gilbert is because that we feel like he's not doing enough for the organization. But let's give some light to. He fucking gives LeBron every fucking thing that LeBron fucking wants from.
But that's his problem.
But that's the thing. But that's the thing is because LeBron kind of handicaps him and puts him in these situations. That's why I would
also his problem. If you didn't go through and smear the shit out of LeBron when he left the first time and go on your rants publicly and talk about how he would never win a ring before Cleveland did and stuff like that, when you begged for him to come back, he wouldn't have raked you over the coals like that.
But this is like
that's on him. But see, that's the thing that you have to understand. That's on him. I'm not knocking him. I'm just acknowledging it for the truth that it is.
Oh, no,
it's
I agree.
just the way that it is. But see, the thing about Dan Gilbert, too, is, okay, yeah, you're going through and now you're publishing out the Forbes, I'm losing all this money and this, that, and the other. Okay, expose all your books through the time LeBron got there to now. Expose it from the time LeBron got drafted until now, because you're telling me that this year you lost 40, but the other 4 years previous, you could have made 180. So at the end of the day,
those shitty ass teams,
what's the problem? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, what's the big deal? What's the problem? And you go through and you look at it from a different standpoint, because when you look at the business side of the NBA, or professional sports in general, the one thing that people fail to realize is this too: there are very few owners of professional sports teams that make their living and feed their families off those sports teams. That's just their side money. Jerry Jones don't give a shit about all them Cowboys checks because he makes tons of money from the oil and gas business. That's how he got enough money to buy them teams. It's a difference when you go through and you look at stuff like that. That's why I asked you, what's Dan's real job? Does he have a second job, or is that the way that he makes his living, is just owning the Cavaliers? Because that's a huge difference. If it's like the Mara family that owns the Giants, and that's how they make their money. If it's the Rooney family with the Steelers, and that's how they make their money, it's different. You know what I'm saying? It's a different concept.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing that I was talking about with Dan Gilbert is this. I'm not trying to knock him for the simple fact is he's a guy that had an investment. And yes, we look at these owners as, you should carry yourself a certain way. You shouldn't talk a certain way. But this is a guy who kind of did invest in LeBron, and LeBron did kind of abruptly just up and leave because he felt that he wasn't grabbing anybody or bringing anybody.
He was right. He was right.
But listen to this. This is what I'm trying to say.
Larry Hughes.
This is what I'm talking about. We see. You know what? This is what I want to talk about. In 2007 and 2008, when a lot of shit was going on, social media wasn't popping like it is right now. But if you look back at those reports, nobody, no star, no second string, no second star player was trying to come to the Cavs. So Dan Gilbert was probably grabbing the best that he fucking could because nobody was checking. As good as LeBron was, nobody was trying to come to fucking Cleveland. I don't care what nobody said because guess what?
LeBron, of course not.
Because LeBron had he had the factor of being the greatest player, but he wasn't fucking winning. So when he came back, he brought that illusion. So when he lost, Dan Gilbert kind of hitched his wagon to LeBron. So when LeBron kind of cut and dry, you like, fuck this nigga. He on the league. He's screwing my franchise. And you can understand that shit. I'm trying to look at from the positive aspect of not trying to bash Dan Gilbert. I'm in the mindset of nowadays of giving people the benefit of the doubt and just looking back and seeing from their eyes, what are they trying to do? This is a man with his investment, and it's not returning on his investment. So he's trying to trim some weight, trying to get out of that luxury cap. And I'm just like, salary cap, that luxury tax, and you got to give the man some type of credit that he did try to give LeBron, who is the most diva, who's one of the more diva-ish type of NBA players. He kind of did give him the reins and kind of gave him what he wants, and LeBron's still gonna cut tail and dry, and he's not gonna waive that no trade clause. So that means LeBron is gone next year, and I don't really get any type of value for him. So I think Dan Gilbert needs to address this Kyrie problem and try to bring in the most value that they could, in my opinion. Yeah.
And I mean, I agree with all of that, and that's all well and good. But at the same time, it's not about bashing anybody in particular. It's not about necessarily laying blame in particular, because they're all at fault.
Oh, it's not.
They're all
Oh, no.
they're all
Oh, yeah.
accountable for what's going
That's
on.
all
They're
good.
all
Yeah.
accountable for this situation.
And
All
then
of them. There's
then
nobody
Marcus,
that it leans to more than one.
and then Marcus also, when I was saying you bashing, I didn't mean like you per se. I just like hearing the
I know what
people
you
talk.
meant, fam. You good. You
And
good. I
on
know
top
what
of
you
that,
meant.
there's another argument that was made out there with people saying that they need to shorten the amount of teams that's in the league. No, what it is these
Man,
people are
please.
reporting there's not enough shortage of talent. There's a shortage of people developing and running these organizations right, and that's why you have these problems and these
If you
disconnects.
didn't have all
These
these one and
GMs.
dones and all this AAU stuff going
Exactly.
on and stuff like that, your quality of basketball at the professional level would probably be a lot better.
That's true.
I
That's
didn't want
neither
to be
here
too
nor
long.
there.
I didn't want
Yeah,
to be too long.
that's neither here nor there.
No, that's true. That's true. Well, definitely, I hope Kyrie go to a good lit team wherever he goes. Wherever they
Kyrie is
decide.
going to the Knicks, and we'll watch him average 35 a
Eh,
game and win 40 games a season.
hey, that's what he want to do. He got his ring.
I
So
mean, hey, you can do it at that point. Hey, get it how you live, Pimpin'. I'm not mad at you.
at least you're not Barkley or Malone. So hey, there it is. But yeah, definitely y'all can catch us on the Facebook at Fish and Grit 713. Same thing on the Twitter, Fish and Grit 713. For my man Griffin, for my man Wilson, my man DeMarcus, that's gonna be me. This has been Fish and Grits, and you guys have just been served.
Y'all enjoy.
Peace.